Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi out here, and it is Thursday morning, and the Raptors lost to the Kings last night. And it isn't a April Fool's joke. It is, honestly, it kind of is though. You know, the schedule makers are very deep thinkers. Like they figure out all kinds of stuff. And is it a coincidence that we played DeMar DeRozan on April Fool's Day? No, because this happened before. Yeah, we've played him on April Fool's Day other days too, other years. And this game last night had a lot of essence to it, like the DeMar DeRozan playing game against the Bulls, the last game that Nick Nurse coached for us. Because it's in some ways when there's injustice in this world, when there's something that is just not right and kind of goes against the natural order of things, sometimes there's reverberations that come back and fix things in a karmic way. DeMar getting traded for Kawhi was not something that he deserved. He didn't deserve that. He was a dutiful Raptor. He was Toronto. He loved playing for us. He's still our career high in points, like most points scored ever as a Raptor. He's our career franchise leader. There's a lot to this. DeMar's gone through some hard years since we traded him. San Antonio, Chicago, and Sacramento, teams that just haven't competed for the most part. Well, DeMar DeRozan is a lot of things. He is a Raptors legend. He will get his jersey retired by us. He will be somebody that we will celebrate so heavy after he retires. And well, we did him wrong. Our team did him wrong, whether it's Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, whether it was, the trade, whatever it was, we did him wrong. And in some ways, just like somebody may miss a free throw shot after a bad technical or a bad foul, in some ways, this is the action and the energy coming back at us still in a reverberation from when we did him wrong in the summer of 2018. I mean, what is it's 8 years later almost? It still hurts. And in fact, it was a tale of two halves last night for DeMar. We did an excellent job on him in the first half. Darko talked about it in post game. DeMar had 2 points at half, and I was wondering if he was going past Dominique Wilkins on the all-time scoring list last night. They say he only needed 8 points. I was like, well, Jacoby and Scotty and them are going to guard him the way they're guarding him right now. He may not get those points. And he looked like he was really frustrated. He looked kind of sad, honestly. You see DeMar DeRozan sitting on the bench with Russell Westbrook when he was off the court, talking about Toronto, looking around the arena. It's changed a bit since we traded him. Our crowd is still very passionate, the same kind of feel. And in some ways, DeMar knows how that embrace feels from that crowd. And in some ways, he could sit there and talk to Russell Westbrook looking cool in his leather jacket and his sunglasses and say, I remember when I used to date this girl. And I'm sitting in her living room right now. And it's kind of hard to be in here with her because I love her so much. But we can't be together ever again because she broke up with me. It's tough, man. There's a lot of emotions in DeRozan. There's a lot of emotions. There's a love-hate there. There's a real strong love-hate. There's always going to be the love. The love is undeniable. The love is the path that he came through to get to where he got to now. And the hate is to feel rejected, is to feel discarded, is to feel like you were not what they wanted. This can manifest in a lot of different ways. And in some ways, you guys can chalk it up however you want to what happened last night. I look at it as a much higher level thing than just the Raptors' loss to the Sacramento Kings. Nephews and casuals that are more recent, that don't know the history of DeMar DeRozan on the Raptors, will not understand exactly why things happened the way they did last night. But most of the Raptor freaks will, because we've been around for the whole ride and we've seen it, and we understand the special relationship DeMar DeRozan has with the Toronto Raptors and just how complicated it is. That's all I chalk this up to. You can add in Precious revenge game too, and Lex will take a lap of victory on that one too, because I've been speaking up Achua for years now and saying that this guy's really good, and that, for all of his mistakes and his foibles, partnership with Malachi Flynn, that he's not a bad player. He's a very good player. And you saw that last night against the Raptors. And this action by Achua is similar as DeMar. He got traded from us too. And who knows how happy he was about that. And of course, we know the track record of Precious. He would do this to the Miami Heat every single time we would play them when he was in a Raptors jersey. He'd go above and beyond against his former team. So I'm not surprised about Precious Achua and getting a ton of rebounds and getting almost 30 points, because I know he's that good. I've been saying this for years. And that's why I said, on the down low, I don't really like losing Precious in this OG trade in RJ and Emmanuel, because I value him. And even last summer, when Precious was in limbo and he could have been going any which way, we even brought his name up many times on this channel about possibilities for this team. We got Sandro instead, and that has been a huge success. But I was advocating for Precious as recent as last August to put him on the Raptors again. In some ways, yeah, I'll take my victory lap on assessing. Yeah, Achua's not a waste of time, y'all. Achua's a good player, and in some ways, they just got to give him more chances. Yeah, Scotty, what's wrong with you and Precious? Why can't you guard Precious? What the fuck, Scott? Is there something weird there? You guys are old teammates. In some ways, in your early years on the Raptors, you guys were rivals on the down low, competitive rivals on our team, competing to push each other further as young physical specimens that are extremely talented. There's something weird there, Scott. You can get physical and guard all kinds of other people around the league, people that are scary to guard, that are difficult to deal with. But Precious, you can't deal with him? What's wrong, Scotty? Seriously, what's wrong? How could you let Achua outplay you last night? In some ways, if people see that matchup, there's, Scotty's going to beat Precious. Not last night, though. What's going on here? Is there something that we need to know? Is there something about Precious that he knows about you that makes you ineffective when he's around? Because there was a lot of that last night that was interesting about how Achua was not being guarded by Barnes the normal way. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. We messed up DeMar for the first half, and he came back in the second half like a boomerang and upside our head and put in a whole bunch of points. He made us remember this. In some ways, I enjoyed it immensely. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed watching DeMar DeRozan take our team apart last night, because in some ways, I still stand with him. I do. He's one of my favorite Raptors of all time. And in some ways, I feel some of the pain from him getting traded to the Spurs like he does still. And in some ways, call me a weird turncoat for this one. I enjoyed him getting revenge against us last night. In some ways, I told the Discord server in the middle of the game and said, if we don't watch out, DeMar's going to kill this game and take it from us, because he can. Because he can. That's the thing. We all got to remember, our team is a young team that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing to an extent. DeMar DeRozan knows what he's doing. And in some ways, he can have a bad half where Jacoby Walter and them hold him to 2 points, make him look bad, bully his ass at midcourt and steal the ball from him, make him look bad. But in the second half, he'll write a whole other story. And he'll go off. And he'll take that win from the Raptors at a crucial time when we don't need that loss. Yeah, his daughter might as well have been screaming at the side of the court last night. Just like that Bulls playing game years ago, Nick Nurse's last game coaching the Raptors. This is the same energy. Can't y'all tell this? In some ways, I should have talked about it more clearly like this yesterday. In some ways, I didn't want to speak it into existence. But the possibility of what happened last night was in my head yesterday. that there's history here. This isn't a normal matchup. This isn't a normal matchup for Sacramento, and this isn't a normal matchup for the Raptors. This is DeMar DeRozan comes back to Toronto, and he remembers all the years he spent here, all the points he put through the basket for the people of this city and this country, and he remembers the pain of getting traded for Kawhi. There's a lot more to this than just the Raptors fumble the ball. There's a lot more to this than just, oh, the Raptors suck. We hate the Raptors. Fire the coach. All this bullshit. No, 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 no. This is different. This is karmic. This is on a whole other level. And this is the thing. The Raptors themselves are not going to wake up, put the effort in, and do the job. They ain't going to win. They ain't going to win. They lost in 2 places last night. They lost on the boards, obviously. That's what Darko said after the game. We lost this game in rebounds. And Precious Achiuwa having 11 offensive rebounds against us, out rebounding us on offensive rebounds, the whole team. That was key. Yeah. And then the other one, the free throws, which is the stupidest way to lose a game for shooting so bad at the free throw line. They lost by 8. They missed 10 free throws. That's the stupidest way to lose a game, is not hit your free throws. That's lame. Y'all shot 55% from the field and y'all still lost. That's crazy. You know, I can poo-poo and get mad at the Raptors. I can piss all over them while they're down, just like most people are doing around social media right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to give them a pass again today because, like I said, this is something more deeper, and this is more in the works for years now than what we're rebuilding and building as a young core. This is something totally different. And in some ways, the people on the Raptors, the youngsters on the team, needed to feel this, hey, this is something, and this is Raptors history. You're going to learn a little history today, Jamal and Jacoby and Colin, a little history about the guy who has scored the most points for this franchise ever in the whole entire history of our team. Some ways I can't get mad at this. I can't get all falling out on this. This is another loss. Casuals and nephews will look at the record, say, we just lost to the worst team in the league. So what? It's the NBA. It's hard. And this kind of shit happens. And the Raptors, in some ways, you know, it's the schedule makers are evil as fuck. Let's just put it that way. We're going to put you in a back-to-back, and we're going to manage to get you to lose to the Kings late in the season on April Fool's Day. You don't think that that's all by design? I've noticed this year a lot of our games and the times they happen are weird times, like full moons and holidays. You know, we're going to play the Celtics on Easter Sunday, y'all, in Boston. What do you think that is? That's a big time Easter present for the Celtics to have the Raptors to feast on in Boston on their home court on an Easter Sunday. It smacks all of Christmas Day game for the Raptors and the Celtics, where they beat our ass on Christmas Day in Boston, and we get to feel all the sadness on Christmas. This shit is by design. The schedule makers hate us, and they're often putting a devious schedule, gauntlet for the whole entire season that we have to go through, and some of it is very intricately, deeply planned. And this April Fool's joke was by design. And DeMar DeRozan was the one to benefit from it. I can't get mad at that because I love DeMar. And if this helps heal some of his wounds and pain because he was smiling at the end of the game last night, I'm happy. If I see DeMar smiling after a game in Toronto, in some ways I'm happy because he deserves that to a degree. He really does. We got our championship. We got our ring. We got the highest pinnacle of success, and he built that for us on his back. And we discarded him right before the last step. So I can't get mad at this, Raptors fans. I'm sorry. And I can't get mad at our coach and our team because in some ways they're tired. They're inexperienced, and they're still learning. And they have tough lessons to learn sometimes, like last night, about how you can't fumble a game against a shitty team like this. You can't go on autopilot. In some ways, we got to be honest. The Raptors played against the Kings last night like they were the worst team in the league, and they didn't have to take them seriously. And that was their biggest mistake. That was their biggest mistake right there. To think the record shows the effort that you need to put in for the game, well, fuck that. Nah, you showed this a couple weeks ago against the Bulls. You didn't play down their level and blew them out by 30. Well, last night, you needed to do the same thing. You needed to not play down to the idea, well, it's the Kings. It'll be easy. Yeah, look at their record. They're horrible. Yeah, fatal mistakes, fatal ideologies, fatal presumptions. You can't take any team in this league lightly. Leo Routon said it at the beginning of the game. You know, the Kings, we're not really sure if they're an NBA team, but they are still an NBA team, everybody. Remember this. And that's what it is. You don't think they're hungry? You don't think they hadn't been feeling like they need to win again because they've been losing so much this year and get their 20th win of the season last night against us? You know, small victories. In some ways, DeMar DeRozan could have looked at last night's game as his championship for the year. This is the one that matters. Is back where I care the most. Back with my ex-girlfriend. Her name's Toronto, and I love her still, but it hurts me. It just hurts me. I can walk around this city from Sunday night when the Kings arrived till the game of tonight, which was a Wednesday night. He had 3 days in Toronto to walk around and remember his memories and feel this energy, guys. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to come out there and do what he did all the time when he was in our Raptors jersey. He's going to score buckets, and he's going to win the game for his team. And there ain't nothing wrong with that because that's his job, and that's what he gets paid to do. And sure, Siakam left on good terms. Siakam can be an advocate in a double agent for us on the other side at times. But DeMar, what does he owe to us? He doesn't owe jack shit. He doesn't owe jack shit to us. He owes his pain to us. If this is therapy for DeRozan, I'm for it. And I don't give a shit if my team lost yesterday. I don't. Because I'm happy for DeMar. And in some ways, this is justice. We had to go through the years of Casey's revenge. Well, we're still going through the years of DeRozan's revenge, and they are going to be happening until he retires. In fact, him and Kyle Lowry joke around that he needs to go for 20 years too. You know, he's in his 17th year right now. DeMar DeRozan plays 2 more years, 3 more years. He'll be in the 20-year club, just like LeBron and Kyle Lowry. And I think he will go for that. He's looking pretty good. I don't think he's that bad. I think he's in good shape. But yeah, I can't get mad at this. And everybody's getting mad at the Raptors and this and that. Just, you know, understand they're young. And in some ways they're innocent and they're naive. And in some ways, you know how kids are. Teenagers, preteens, they're just oblivious. And in some ways they need to make dumb mistakes and fuck up to actually mature and get better. This is what our NBA team is. The Raptors are a teenager learning the world and making mistakes. And in some ways, well, they'll graduate to being an adult at some point in the next 2 years or so. So just stop overanalyzing them. Everybody wants the Raptors to be perfect. You're never going to get that. Everybody who analyzes the Raptors to the T, like the science lab does, getting their microscopes out and looking at everything and just going over analytical and over critical. This is simple and easy. I'm telling you exactly why this loss happened. And you can listen to me and believe me or not. I don't care. You can listen to me and hear the deeper meaning of this game and why DeMar DeRozan needed to win this so that he could feel better about himself. He wanted it more than we did because he had more pain inside of him than we did. The pain we had was physical and tiredness from playing the Pistons in Detroit the night before. His pain is in his heart. His pain is in the feelings of being discarded. So I can't get mad at this, guys. In some ways, if this is therapy for DeMar, then this is good, well-earned L for the Raptors. That's the way I look at it right now. Because my GROAT is still a GROAT. Even if he wears the purple and white of the King, he's still a GROAT to me. And in some ways, look, this is just one loss. Sure, it's to the Kings. Sure, we can all overreact. Sure, we can all go, oh my gosh, we just lost to one of the worst teams in the league. Who cares? It's basketball. You play a game, you win, you lose. And that's the one thing I'm getting sick of with Raptors Nation. The impatience and the intolerance for imperfection. Nobody's perfect. And no basketball team ever will be either. The Oklahoma City Thunder ain't perfect either. The Detroit Pistons aren't perfect. The Celtics aren't perfect. So why the fuck do you and Raptors Nation expect the Raptors to be perfect all the fucking time? Get over yourself. You want me to come to your job and tell you exactly everything you did wrong? Johnny, you put the stapler down the wrong way. Turn the stapler the wrong way. You didn't talk to Janice very politely, did you, at coffee break? No, you didn't, Johnny. You want me to fucking come down to your work and nitpick every fucking thing you do at your office? Yeah, you don't want that, do you? I don't think y'all should do that to the Raptors either. Seriously, we can do constructive criticism. We could do the autopsy on the L for why the Raptors lost to the Kings. I will listen to all of that from y'all. But I do not want to hear toxic hating and stupid ass shit just because they think that we ultimately failed because we lost to a bad team in the league. No, this is the NBA. All 30 teams can be good and they can win at any time. And people need to keep remembering that. And we need to remember the age group of our team and the age pyramid and how the average age is and understand that also. There's a lot more to this than just like, oh, the Raptors suck. They lost to one of the worst teams in the league. It's so intricately layered with revenge games from Achua and DeRozan. And why wouldn't they want to have revenge in some ways? Precious, I commend you for wanting to go against your ex teams and kicking their ass. I hope you give this energy to the Knicks too. I'm sure you do. So yeah, there's a lot to this, man. There's a lot to this. And people can't just take this surface level and just fucking say, oh, the Raptors suck. They lost to the Kings. There's a lot more to this. It's deep shit. Deep, deep shit right here. That's right. All right, let's get into the chat. We got the stars of the game. We got the birthdays. We got the Raptors Redditor of the day. All the cool, fun little segments we do on the show. Just wanted to do my opening salvo, my opening lob to you guys of information about how I see the game from last night. Yeah, they could have won. They could have come back and beaten them. They could have tightened up and done things right and made the win happen, but they didn't, alas. In some ways, there's different reasons why things didn't get tightened up. They did really good job catching up, but the expertise and the veteranness of DeRozan and Monk kept that score going for them at the end, and we couldn't stop them. That's DeMar's time. We know this from our team. DeMar DeRozan going to cook up at the end of the game and win the game for the team. You got to try and stop him. Jacoby, you could stop him in this first half. Can you stop him in the second half when he really wants to win? That's the test. He's one of the best ever. And we saw it on display again last night. I can't hate on that. Someone says like, damn, DeMar. It was memory lane for me. I love watching DeRozan play for us and the things he used to do for us. Well, he still does them, except he does them for the Kings now. And we got that display of, it reminded me, it made me think of, wow, I remember when DeMar used to do this for us on our team and how good he was and what he did and how much we loved him for that too. You know, I wasn't probably the only Raptors fan watching the game or in the arena that was feeling nostalgia like that. Wow, look at DeMar. Look at what he just did. Oh, man, I remember that. I remember that when he was wearing our jersey. Yeah. In some ways, you got to trip down memory lane for the older Raptor fans that were running around with the early We the North era. Yeah, the newer fans can't understand it. They can't respect the what DeMar DeRozan actually is to the Raptors franchise. It's tough to do that if you just showed up after the championship. It's tough to do that. Yeah. Trevor J has got our words of wisdom this morning. Let's see what he's saying. Never be a prisoner of your past. It was just a lesson, not a life sentence. So keep moving forward. You'll win in the end. That is apropos for DeMar DeRozan right there. Never be a prisoner of your past. In the day that Masai called you and said, yeah, we traded you to San Antonio for Kawhi Leonard. Never be a prisoner of your past. It says walking in the streets of LA out of the movie theater, just lost because you just lost your heart, a place that you had dedicated yourself to for your life. And that dedication was no longer needed and you've been dismissed. Yeah. Never be a prisoner of that moment and that pain, that deep, deep pain of rejection. Hold on to it? Nah. Go through therapy. Talk about it. Meet people. Go forward with your career. Keep your head up. Play for the Spurs. Watch your former team win a championship. Feel all those feelings. Feel the feelings of happiness for them, but also at the same time, the bitterness of what could have been and what should have been in some ways. This is deep shit. This is bigger than basketball. This is human psyche. This is human character. This is the human resolve to get through pain and heartache and toughness. That's what this is today. That's what I'm saying. That's a lesson for DeMar. And he became stronger and better for it. And he helped the world better for it too by telling his story and telling everybody exactly how he went through it. This is bigger than basketball, y'all. This is bigger than basketball. This is therapy. And I don't understand how people can't understand this about it. Well, if you don't know DeMar DeRozan and what he means to the Raptors and what he did for the Raptors, you can't understand the gravity of this. You can't understand the heavy weight of what this is. You can't understand it. That's right. Keep moving forward and come back around and boomerang up their ass and fucking beat their ass. And all of a sudden, you got a win for your 20-win team. Yeah, you win in the end. Is that what you're talking about, Trevor? DeMar DeRozan winning in the end, like last night. I hope DeMar comes back to Toronto 3 more seasons. And maybe he comes back to the Eastern Conference so he can come back more than just once a year. Because I want to say goodbye to him. I want to come to the arena and see him play in person against us before the end of his career. Because I want to see DeMar DeRozan play one more time in person. In fact, last night I got worried that maybe that was the last time he's going to play in Toronto ever again. We kind of gave that send-off to Kyle earlier this year. And in some ways, I'm wondering about that. The clock is ticking. The man's still moving up the all-time scorer list, passing Dominique Wilkins last night. There's things to celebrate, Raptors fans. There's things that celebrate in this game. The all-time great Raptor, DeMar DeRozan, has passed the human highlight reel of Atlanta Hawks, Dominique Wilkins, on the all-time scoring list. Earlier this year, he passed Tim Duncan. He's passed Larry Bird. He's passing people, and he's going to pass Oscar Robertson in the next couple weeks, too, before the end of the season. So it's like we can celebrate DeMar, too. We don't have to be just pissing all over and yelling at the Raptors and getting all mad at them. We could also turn the other cheek and say, I'm so proud of DeMar because I love him. He's a Raptors draft pick. He's our career all-time franchise leader in scoring. He has played the most games out of every single person in the whole entire history of the NBA in a Raptors jersey. So there's a lot to celebrate. We could celebrate him and his career accolades. We don't have to just look at the L for the Raptors, y'all. We can look at this thing as a triumph for one of the greatest Raptors of all time, even if it was at our detriment. There's a lot of ways you can look at this game in the right ways. I'm telling you right now. That's right. Trevor's saying this. Once again, the Raptors came out flat and could not get the job done. They should have won this game. Yeah. All intents and purposes, you look at the records, you look at the teams. Yeah, we should have beat them. In fact, I kept saying in the Discord, I would say we're like a cat toying with a mouse. Well, you know what? The cat played with the mouse too much, and the mouse ran away and got the cheese. Yeah. Tom got tired, I guess, messing around with Jerry. Jerry, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Jerry's just, doing his thing. Well, Jerry won. Jerry beat Tom in this one. And that happens in the cartoon often. You know that, Tom and Jerry. That Jerry beats Tom. I was like, yeah, we were the cat. We were toying with it, playing with it. Don't play with your food. Toying with it, playing with it. Played with it too much. The mouse got smart. The mouse hit shots. The mouse won the game. Yeah. Yeah, you can't play around with this kind of stuff. You can't toy with a team. We were matched way better than them. We had way more talent. We had way more other categories where we beat them. They beat us just because we were lackadaisical and they knew how to go win. They knew how to go win. They didn't need Westbrook in your uniform to come and do a fourth quarter takeover and hit a bunch of shots. No, they had DeRozan. And it was funny when DeMar started going off on us late in the game and scoring all those baskets. Russell was up off the bench. He was jumping. He's talking to him. He's like, yeah, you're reminding them of who you used to be here, right? Aren't you? And DeMar's like, yeah, Russell, I am. I am reminding them. I got to remind Toronto real quick that this is who I am. And thank goodness Aubrey wasn't sitting in his seats over there. Jackass, dumbass. Probably said some stupid shit to DeMar during the game. You got to understand, it's got to be bittersweet. It's got to be tough. It's got to be hard for DeMar DeRozan to be in the city of Toronto, guys. It's got to be a little different, man. It's got to be a little bit different, man. It's not easy. There's a lot of familiarity. You can see him palling around with the Raptor mascot before the game, and there's a real genuine love and connection there because there were years spent with each other. They know each other well. They know each other like this. The guy who plays the Raptor and DeMar DeRozan. There's so many people like that. You see it after the game. He's talking to Jim Sand, our assistant coach, and he's talking to different people like Jack Armstrong and different people that just mean so much to him because they're a part of his earlier life and his many years on the Raptors. It's tough. It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. He can see that championship banner hanging in the rafters with his good friend Kyle Lowry's name on it and Kawhi Leonard's name on it too. So yeah, it's tough. It's bittersweet, man. They should have won this game. They did it because DeMar needed therapy, and I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. This is one loss. We've had all kinds of losses all year. People can over dramatize and describe it. Oh, it's the worst loss of the year for the Raptors. Not to me. There were other losses earlier this year that were worse than this. In some ways, at least we had the therapy of this game. That's what I would say to that. Yeah. Yeah. Trevor's saying Chicago Sky made agreement with the Tempo and Portland Fire. Yeah, that we had a historic thing yesterday. The Toronto Tempo made their first ever trade in the history of their team. Yeah, they don't even have a player yet. The thing that's so cool and interesting about all this is that the Chicago Sky did 2 trades yesterday. They did 1 trade with us and 1 trade with Portland Fire. Why did they do this? Because they wanted, and this, I've never heard of this before in sports in my entire life. Never ever heard of this. They wanted to ask both the expansion teams to not pick from their unprotected list. We literally traded a promise for a draft pick yesterday. Monica Wright Rogers is already winning. She basically, and I mean, I wonder how this negotiation goes down. It's like, hello, Chicago Sky. Hi, Monica Wright Rogers. Hi, what would you like? You don't want us to pick one of your players off your unprotected list in the expansion draft? Really? This sounds interesting. Well, what do you want to do for us if you want that to happen? Really? You be willing to do that? How about this, though? I'd rather get this. Can you give us your 26th pick in the draft? And we'll promise you we won't pick anybody off your Chicago Sky unprotected expansion list. A deal? Okay. Thank you. Boom. Monica Wright Rogers gets an extra draft pick for the Toronto Tempo yesterday, promising the Chicago Sky we will not take one of their players. And then they turned around and they did a pick swap with the Portland Fire to move one of their picks up higher in the draft, but they traded one of their picks. So they swapped the pick. We got an extra draft pick for the same thing, along with the promise that they will not pick one of their unprotected players. That's very interesting to me. I've never heard of getting a draft pick for a promise. And in some ways, I think it's awesome. Has this happened in the world of sports ever, in any sport before? Probably. I'm just not aware of it. That, you could trade the threat of, ooh, you will come and take one of your players from your unprotected list. The Chicago Sky must really like their team, right? Because why would they do this? I thought they weren't that good last year. I thought that they had turmoil. I thought that there were issues with Angel Reese. But now the Chicago Sky's like, nah, we really like our young core. Can y'all please not touch them? What will you do for us? Well, we'll trade you a pick. We'll give you a pick right now. Just a straight up pick. Nothing. You don't have to do anything but just lip service. We won't pick from your list. And you'll give us a draft pick? That sounds like winning to me with Toronto Tempo already. Yeah. You want to hear about more winning? Well, Bridget Carlton. Yeah. Yesterday, Teresa Resch is following Bridget Carlton on Instagram, and she wiped her social media accounts of Minnesota Lynx. This might be one of the first Canadians to play for the Canadian WNBA team, Bridget Carlton. There's all sorts of signs that she is going to be a Toronto Tempo player. That's pretty cool. Now, just to backtrack a little bit on more Tempo news real quick, we reported yesterday that the possibility, we didn't say for sure because we didn't have it confirmed officially, that the mascot of the Toronto Tempo would be the metronome, a gnome that is in the city. Just like the thing that goes back and forth, but it's a gnome. It's a guy with a hat and a beard. Well, they put it on display on their social medias, but it was an April Fool's joke, y'all. We fell for it. Whoever brought it in here, it was G or Kaloy, one of the two. Yeah, you fell for it. Metronome was a diversion. Is not the real mascot. It was an April Fool's joke. Pretty good one. I mean, it's not a bad name, though, honestly. But in some ways, does it make sense to have a hairy old man with a white beard be a mascot for a WNBA team. No, no, it doesn't. I was thinking if they want to do it really cool, you could call the mascot Metronome, but make it like an ambiguously sexed mascot. Like you're not totally sure if it's male or female. Yeah. I don't know. I guess they just don't. They thought the name was witty and maybe a good one time joke. And well, they made it an April Fool's joke. So yeah, it's not officially the mascot, Metronome. It was a joke. It was an April Fool's joke. Of course, yesterday was April Fool's Day. So that's the kind of thing right there. Yeah, man, this is awesome, man. Winning, Monica Wright Rogers winning, getting a draft pick for just a promise. It's very like Godfather-ish. Na, 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 na. What do you have for me? Oh, you don't want us to come and get your player? What do you want? What are you going to give us? It's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Trevor's saying this that Scotty Barnes is the first player in NBA history out of all eras, all times, to record 18 plus points per game, shooting 50% from the field with 400 more assists, 100 plus steals, 100 plus blocks, 50 3-pointers made also in a regular season. Yeah, he's a special all-around player. There's been a lot of all-around players in this league, but not on the level he is. The big part of it the combination is it's all around. It's like, look, you can have guys that were good defenders and scorers that got the steals and the blocks and the scoring, but maybe they didn't shoot 50%. You could have the guys who did all this, but they didn't have the three-point shots. That's the thing. It's just such an all-around game. It's maybe you could make the argument that Scotty Barnes has the most all-around game in the history of the NBA ever because of this accolade right here. This is something like, why does Jokic miss on this? He doesn't get the steals or something? I don't know. Where's he miss on this? The threes? It's interesting. It seems like he should be around these stats. But hey, Scotty's unique. Scotty is the first one ever in the history of the NBA to do this. And that's fantastic. And you know what? He's going to do it every year from now on for the rest of his career. Watch. He will. I'll bet you. Yeah, Jimmy's here. Good morning to Jimmy Pope. Raptors are now the 7th seed with the loss to the lowly Kings and have 6 games left against the Grizzlies, Celtics, Heat twice, Knicks, and Nets. They put themselves in a tough position. Yeah, we fell below the Sixers because, we tied with them for the season series, but the tiebreaker beyond that is the record in the Atlantic Division. And we have not got a good record in the Atlantic Division. So that's why the Sixers have the tiebreaker over us. Unfortunately, the Sixers have everybody healthy all of a sudden. Paul George having a big game last night, and Embiid's playing, and Maxi's back too. So they are actually kind of a threat right now. That's part of the April Fool's joke is, hey, Raptors fans, you're in the play-in now, and the Sixers above you in the standings. That's an April Fool's joke. That sucks. But the good news is there's a lot of games still, a few, 6, and there's the ability to climb out of there and get out of there. RJ was very pissed off after the game last night. I want to tell you all that RJ was just seething, angry in the post-game interview. In fact, he couldn't answer the reporters right away for 30 seconds. He just sat there just incredulously angry before he actually spoke. And he was very much like, look, we got to play like our lives depend on it. That's what he said when he finished his interview last night. That this is unacceptable, that we're not going to play like this. We're going to get losses like this. We can't do this right now. And he is pissed. These guys care. And, RJ, he feels it. He feels it. I was thinking about this. RJ and AJ have to feel a little surreal playing against DeMar. DeMar has been in the league so long. When he was playing for the Raptors, these guys were kids watching him play. It's a little bit of a like pinch me kind of thing because we know that AJ Lawson and RJ Barrett were DeRozan fans when they were kids. They were. I mean, Jacoby is too. You see how Jacoby took special care when he was guarding DeMar and how much they really were on him, because to them, he's like a dream to defend and guard because they've dreamt of it. It's like, man, this is DeMar DeRozan, man. I've been watching him for years. I have so much like respect for his mid-range game and the way he does things, and I get to guard him tonight. There was a lot of that kind of energy towards DeMar in the first half whether it was Jacoby really coming tight and up on him, Scotty Barnes embarrassing DeMar at half court by bullying him into a steal and getting a transition point. That was very reminiscent of when Kawhi bullied DeMar after the trade and took the ball from him at half court and dunked it the other way. I was like feeling sorry for DeMar at that point. Like, man, is DeMar too old at this point? He has no points. He's 0 for 8 in the first half, and Jacoby and Scotty are bullying him. I felt sad. I was like, man, maybe this dude is done. Maybe he's washed already, and he's not going to go much further than this year in the NBA. But no, in some ways, DeMar showed me no, DeMar's still around in the second half. And that is part of the reason why I felt better about it too. It's like, oh, wait, DeMar's still DeMar. In some ways, he's killing my team right now, and I'm upset about that. But also at the same time, it's reassuring to see that DeMar DeRozan still has it. It's kind of a weird thing, huh? Two sides of that. Really kind of weird thing there. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, this sucks. But the good news is we got more games. And honestly, a lot of these games coming up, besides the Boston and the New York game, are very winnable. I want to sweep the Miami Heat in both those games. Memphis, well, we lost to the Kings. Raptors, you want to keep trending in that direction? The Raptors are going to come for Memphis in Memphis on Friday night. You know they will. Celtics, fuck around and find out. You got nothing to lose. You're going to try and beat the Celtics. If you beat the Celtics on Easter Sunday, that would be a perfect gift in my Easter basket. Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Put that right next to Chocolate Bunny. The Knicks game, well, we'll just have to see. Nothing to lose once again. But Nets, Heat times two. These are games we need to win. These are games we need to nail down. And a lot of us said we got 42 wins right now. We get to 45 wins. That's a huge success, guys. That's a good year. We get 45 plus. That's fantastic. So then we're going to get 45 wins. We're going to finish okay. It's just in some ways we can't afford to lose very many more games. We lose the 2 games against the Celtics and the Knicks. Other than that, we need to win the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, to have the best chance for sure to be in the playoffs. So yeah, Trevor's saying fans want Darko gone because of last night's loss. This isn't new, man. Trevor, every game we lost this year, fans have come out and said fire Darko because they're not real fans. Once again, everybody in social media is saying fire Darko. A lot of them are either half-ass fans that don't pay full attention to the Raptors, and they're like Leaf fans first, or they're sports fans in general in Toronto, but they're not concentrated or focused on the Raptors. They're vicariously a Raptor fan because they're a sports fan, and the Raptors are the NBA team for Toronto, but they're not in depth like us. They're very shallow level. Then there's very much the wolves in sheep clothing that show up on Reddit and social media and say fire Darko on the comments of the YouTube interviews. Fire Darko. These are not actually Raptor fans. These are people from other fan nations that want us to fire him and come in and make it look like people want him to get fired. Some people may want him to get fired, but they're wrong and they're stupid. And this is the thing. It's once again, this is not a direct, everything's going to go perfect kind of journey that the Raptors are on. There's going to be a couple of 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of stuff. And this is part of the course. This is what it is. Even if these fans want this, well, they've been saying this shit for most of this year. Every single game we lose or we have something wrong, there's a chorus of people saying, fire Darko, which absolutely should be ignored, honestly. It should be ignored by us. It should be ignored by the MLSE ownership and Bobby Webster. It should be ignored by most people. They can go ahead and toot their horn and say this all they want. Nobody's listening to you assholes because you're wrong. He shouldn't be fired. And this is the natural ups and downs of an NBA team and winning and losing in a league where one team wins and one team loses every night. And, you guys can be perfectionists. You guys can be, oh, we got to win every single game or I'm going to be mad. We got to win the championship or I'm going to be mad. Fire the coach. Unrealistic. Stupid. In some ways, that is part of the world. It's like a yin and yang. You got the light and the dark. And in some ways, it balances itself. And to be a team that wins 70% of your games or 60% of the games is in some ways very, very rare and not easy. There's more of a balance towards the 50%. And in some ways, if you can be above 50%, that's successful because you got more wins than losses. but they're going to come. Losses going to come. And people that crash out over losses like William Lou at times this season, you're idiots because you should be more mature and understand basketball is a sport where two teams play and one team has to lose. And sometimes, hopefully, you're winning more than you're losing. That's the way to look at it right there. Yeah, these nephews and casuals, their chorus of Fire Darko has been heard, seen all year, and nobody gives a shit. They're losers. In some ways, this is where you're going to fire them with 6 games to go in the season? No, you're not. And in fact, once again, they're looking at the whole bigger picture as far as Keith Pelly and Bobby Webster and MLSC, head of basketball operations, Bobby Webster. Has he improved our team from last year? Yes. Are we on our way up still? Yes. So if casuals are going to fall out because of one loss and say this, well, they just don't have a good view of the big picture. And they honestly, they're not qualified to make their assessment. They're not qualified. Yeah. Fiercely saying this. Good morning, fam, and happy Thursday. DeMar went off on us in the second half, and Precious as well. But he does that to his former teams. He did the same to the Heat and the Knicks. Yeah. Guys, I want to do a really special shout out right now to Fiercey Jr. Fiercey sent us a message on the Discord yesterday that her daughter, Fiercey Jr., has accepted an invitation to go and play for the Heritage Hurricanes in Quebec for college basketball. So Fiercey Jr. is going to continue her basketball journey from high school into collegiate level here in Canada. I'm very, very proud to announce this. In some ways, her journey is something that we are vicariously following with Fiercey through as an extended family of support for Fiercey Jr. and her basketball goals. So who knows? Maybe there's something we should do to nominate Fiercey and Fiercey Jr. for the Toronto Tempo Uprising or the new program that Masai Ujiri's put out for encouraging women's basketball and women in sport. Yeah. I'm just so proud of Fiercey Jr. Fiercey. I want to say that. And we want to recognize her for going and taking it to the next level. She's had a fantastic high school career, lots of success, firsts and thirds, and all kinds of different trophies. And well, she's taking it to the next level, guys. And let's wish her luck and blessings and good health and only the good things happening for Fiercey Jr. and the next level at collegiate women's basketball in Canada. Yeah, she's gonna be playing for Heritage Hurricanes starting next year, and that's a huge accomplishment right there. A lot of people just stop at the high school level, and well, she's going to collegiate, and that is fantastic. And we can't wait to hear more about her journey and her successes. That's right, we can't wait for that. Yeah, Bryce is here. Good morning to Bryce, holding it down in Kentucky for us. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. I'll tell you one thing. I'll be at the game tomorrow against the Grizzlies. We better not let them beat us. We're already dropping in the play-in. This is going to be fantastic. We'll have a good, strong, long-time Raptor Freak in the house in the FedEx Forum against the Grizzlies tomorrow, and that'll be fantastic. Bryce, you get loud. Please do it like I do it. And I know you'll be in enemy lines because it's the Grizzlies arena, but if you're able to do defense chants like old Lex does, if you're anywhere near the court, make yourself loud for the Raptors and try and help them. They need your help bad right now. And you're right. We can't fumble this one against the Grizzlies like this. It'd be really bad if we lost to the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Grizzlies all in the last month. So we can't fumble this one. Bryce, I feel a lot better about the game tomorrow, knowing that your presence will be there. Yeah, that's awesome. G saying this. Lex, I hear you, but they should have and could have won this. This isn't just a regular game. This throws us into playing now and in a very difficult situation. The schedule gets harder now. It does and it doesn't. It's all how you want to look at it. The schedule is the same as it was before this happened. It's just the same. If you guys were counting eggs before they hatched, sure, we just missed an egg, of course. Yeah, but listen, I'm not panicking. That's the other thing, too, is like people panic about this. I still think we're going to get a playoff spot. It's just that, sometimes they need to be scared. Sometimes they need to have their feet held over the fire just so they can be like, oh, shit, this is really bad. This is scary. The Raptors have been very open last couple of days about the standings and paying attention to it and being very cognizant and aware of it. In some ways you need a jolt of shock and sometimes a little bit of scared to get into the best mode to compete and to fight for your life. And well, they're at that point now. Some people say they already had their back to the wall on this, but we had a feel good win on Sunday. We kicked the Magic's ass, and ESPN was telling us this is going to be one of the most important games for the rest of the season, and we passed that test. It's natural for teams to kind of let down and say, "Oh, we did so good, 52-point win." In some ways, it's like that's part of the fault here. And then we go to Detroit. We have a very tough test there, and we don't execute and get it. And then that carries over with the tiredness and everything. And we don't have Detroit's resilience on a second night of a back-to-back against the Kings, and we fumble another game. All this is regular basketball stuff. This is NBA stuff. I'm not going to get all in a tizzy. I'm not going to get all stressed out extra for this, for the Raptors. I'm not on the Raptors. I'm a fan. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I don't have total control over anything they do. So why would I get upset about where they are in the position? Why would I get stressed out about it? I'll just say, you know what? They're going to do what they're going to do, and they get what they get, and they earn what they earn. They want to earn a playoff spot, they'll go get it. If they don't, well, they weren't ready to be in the playoffs. And we'll have to deal with a whole bunch of people saying bullshit like, oh, there is failure this year. Oh, they failed. They dropped the ball. They were at this point, and they were there, and then they were there. Oh, no. None of this is true. This year is a success no matter what. This year is a success no matter what. They have a plus 500 record, and they have been battling in meaningful games in April now. So it's like, it's just a matter of like, okay, some people are perfectionists. They're going to continue to raise the bar of expectation to the highest of levels that are just not attainable, and they're crazy. People think that they're going to get the championship. People they're going to think they got to win every single game for the rest of the season. This is unrealistic bullshit. And that's the thing. You got to keep things in the tempered expectations of what you originally had. My expectations at the beginning of the year when the season started was I'd like to be in the postseason, and I'd like them to win more games than last year. Check, check. We've done it. The success for this year is done. And these are baby steps. These are big, huge steps also. And in some ways, people got to understand that we just came from out of the playoffs team with only 30 wins last year to above 500 team that's going to be in the postseason, guys. And whether it's a play-in bounce or a first-round playoff match, it doesn't matter. We had a successful year this year no matter what, already in the books. So anybody who's going to come circle around at the end of the season, if we have a failure of an ending of the season and saying this is a failure year, we need to fire our coach, you guys are idiots. Because we got here and we got somewhere, and this was our goals, and we got them. We got our goals. We got the goals I wanted. We got the goals that the franchise wanted. I'm sure we got the goals that Bobby wanted too. We're not going to be perfect. We're not a veteran team. We're a young core that's rebuilding and coming up again. Let's keep realistic about what we are supposed to be doing and what is success. Let's keep realistic about it. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying Darko's not the one playing and missing easy baskets. We can't ask him to be fired. Once we hit our three-pointers, we'll be good. Just hope we make up for the 6 remaining games in the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, it's annoying. In some ways, it was effort. Precious was the one who wanted the most. Precious went out there and got it. In some ways, he had the chip on his shoulder. He had I want to get back at the Raptors, just like DeMar. And those guys had better motivations. In some ways, the fear of losing the Kings was a strong enough motivation for Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett and them. RJ was in there fighting. He was trying, but in some ways, it's like there's only so much he can do. The team starts getting stagnant, and it seems like RJ Barrett's the best option and the only one that's actually trying to do stuff to help us. It's tough. We had segments where we did really well, but we didn't sustain them. And there were too many segments where we're kind of just playing half-assed. I mean, let me look at the stats. There's a lot to look at here. First of all, my stars of the game. We'll do 3 stars for the Raptors. In some ways, it's like, do these guys even deserve it? Well, some of them do. Jamal Shed had a fantastic game within that game last night. He was a plus 17, so don't blame him for the loss. 37 minutes, 16 points on 5 of 9 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3. He made all 3 of his free throws also. 1 rebound, 7 assists, 2 turnovers, and 2 steals, and a block. Yeah, Jamal was fantastic. He was all over the place. He's got offensive foul from the other team. He was hitting his shot. The three was very money last night, and he's just playing top notch. So number one star Jamal Shed. You can't get mad at him for the game last night. That's for sure. The second star of the game to me was Colin. Colin came off the bench again. I think he was a little annoyed that he didn't get in the starting lineup last night because, they started Shed and Walter, and they could have started Murray-Boyles instead. But I guess Darko wants the big off the bench. But yeah, Murray-Boyles, 18 minutes, 20 points. So he outscored his minutes, 7 of 9 from the field. He was 0 for 1 from 3. He missed 2 free throws, which were annoying, and they were part of the problem with the free throw line. 4 rebounds for Colin, 2 assists, a +5. So when Colin was out there, we had winning minutes. And my third star of the game and final star of the game for this one is Sandro Mamu. Once again, we have 2 bench guys as 2 of the 3 stars. 33 minutes for Sandro, 17 points on 7 of 10 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, a steal, and 2 blocks, a -9 for Sandro. He was out there hustling and energy, and, he made an amazing catch on a transition basket that Scotty just barely almost got past him, but he caught it and finished. He's just got really good quick hands and good conversion in fast break opportunities. Sandro's been fantastic. In fact, he had a heat check 3 at one point where he took the shot not in his normal shooting posture, and it was kind of a heat check. He just heaved it from the top of the key, and it was a little bit further away from the three-point line, and he made it. So it's like, wow, Sandro's locked in. He made a 3 just like that, just kind of chucked it, and it went through. So, yeah, good game by those 3 guys. We'll do an honorable mention for, let's see, who's Jakob Poeltl. Some people are criticizing Jakob for being too slow and getting beat by Precious on the boards. I don't know if that is exactly what it is. The thing that happened with Achua last night was he was premeditating and getting positioning really early in all kinds of different ways. And we were just lackadaisical to put bodies on him. Yeah, I think that you guys got to remember also, last night was the first back-to-back that Jakob has participated in pretty much this whole season. Pretty much. He's not played 2 nights in a row like this until last night. And that may have had some factors in his fatigue or maybe not being as effective as he could be. But yeah, 28 minutes, 18 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, a -9. Jakob got up to the line at one point. And of course, he has a lot of history with DeMar. He was in that trade too, right? And he felt a lot of the energy that DeMar felt when they went to San Antonio. And Jakob steps up the line. He hits the first free throw, and DeMar DeRozan says to him, "Whoa, you're making your free throws now?" And then Yak proceeds to miss the second one. That was a funny moment. There's a lot of connections and love between the Kings and the Raptors organizations, whether it's Doug Christie, whether it's Leandro Barboza, whether it's the son of Anthony Carter, Devin Carter. There's so many connections. DeMar, Precious, there's a lot there. But yeah, Jakob and DeMar have a very close relationship, obviously. They obviously do. All right, let's go over the rest of the guys. RJ Barrett, 36 minutes, 20 points on 8 of 19 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 3 of 5 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 turnovers, 1 block, and a +2. Yeah, RJ, he was mad at himself in the post game for the 5 turnovers. He looked at the box score and he said, "Man, I had 5 turnovers. This is no good. I can't have 5 turnovers." So he called himself out in the post game on his turnovers for last night, taking accountability and responsibility for them. Yeah, he didn't shoot as well as he could have. The 1 for 5 from 3, and then also missing 2 free throws. But his free throw shooting has been up and down all year, but he's shown better trends of making his free throws better recently. Alas, still 5 turnovers, 2 missed free throws, not shooting 50%. Yeah, RJ, you could have done better, but you were one of the few plus guys on the team from last night, a +2. Scotty has had weird games the last 2 games. After having this amazing performance against Orlando on Sunday, Scotty's offense is sputtered. He's shooting poorly, and in some ways, I feel like this is part of the whole idea of he's going to get in his head and think he's a playmaker more than having to score himself. And that Darko said this after the game that Scotty has to find a better balance between getting his own shots and playmaking. That it's not right. It's not right. He's too heavy over on the playmaking and not trying to score himself. So this is some of the stuff we've been talking about on this channel the last couple of weeks. That Scotty needs to be more selfish, and that Darko's saying that to him. It's like, we like you getting this assist, like so many games in a row, double-digit assists. That's fantastic. But honestly, if you want to help us win, you need to be like DeRozan and go get baskets for us in crunch time to win. And there was a basket or two that he threw in near the end, showing force of trying to make the comeback. But like Jack Armstrong says on the broadcast, you push that stone up the hill, you got to get that last little part to get over the hill and actually take the lead. And we never actually did that. DeMar and Malik Monk did not let us. So, and there was a lot of, that's another thing that we saw in the difference between the Raptors and the Kings is veteran know-how. That between DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk, you had two guys that were very crafty at drawing fouls. You literally saw Malik Monk launch himself against one of our players to get a foul called and fall on the ground like acting. He did not need to do that. He threw himself at Sandro and fell to the ground in a heap. That was totally a manipulative thing to do to get a call for sure and get points on the board. This is a very smart, wise veteran move. And you could see the other play that was like that was when RJ got the foul on DeMar on the three-point shot. DeMar, very tricky, wily veteran, knows how to draw 3 free throws for his team when they just need points easy at that point in the game. And RJ took the bait. He had his arm out just a little bit. DeMar pulled up into it and into his shot, and boom, Sean Wright's calling a 3-shot foul line trip. And that's just huge veteran know-how and just veteran tricks. So in some ways, those two guys, even though the overall Kings team is young and kind of inexperienced, those vet guys, they were doing vet stuff to us to close the game out to win against us. You got to give them credit for that. So Scotty, tough game, 35 minutes, 14 points, 5 of 14 shooting. That's a problem because his shooting's been so good this year. He's shooting over 50%. When he shoots this badly, it's not right. And it means he needs to go closer. He needs to go closer. He needs to bump people off of him, go inside. If you can dunk it, that's great. He did miss a bunny that was right underneath the basket last night, which was so stupid. I know he wishes he could have had that back. And he could have just thrown it down with one hand instead of trying to lay it up and then seeing that it didn't go in. There's stuff like that. 0 for 3 from 3. He missed half his free throws too. Like that was troubling. 4 for 8. He's an 83% free throw shooter. What the fuck, Scott? He's been lacking concentration at the free throw line recently. And those 4 free throws, well, that's half the lead for them in beating us. Once again, I'll say it's not just the rebounds where we got beat. We got beat at the free throw line, and missing free throws was part of it. 5 rebounds for Scott, 10 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, and a block, minus 15. Yeah, this is a double-double. For most people, this is a fantastic game, but for Scotty, this is a below average game. This is a below average game. Yeah. Jacoby Walter in the starting lineup, he didn't get double digits, but he was a factor out there, a little bit better than the Pistons game. Didn't foul out. 32 minutes, 8 points for young Walter. 3 of 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 3 steals, a minus 8. It's a solid game. It's a solid game. He maybe could have helped us with scoring a little bit better, getting a couple more shots up than just 4 shots. In some ways, Jacoby's been one of the hottest players for our team. Why is he only getting 4 shot attempts? You should let him shoot more threes, is what I'm saying. Let's see. AJ Lawson came in for 16 minutes, and he was a dud last night. This is going to happen. AJ has different kinds of nights. He has the really hot nights where he's going to hit a lot of threes, like he has been for the Raptors the last couple games. But he also has games where he gets in foul trouble because he does play a very aggressive defense, and he gets his hand caught in the cookie jar just trying to get up on people. And the refs were calling him for fouls quite a bit there, a little bit. He had 2 fouls, but that kind of limited him in some ways. 2 points for AJ, 1 of 3 from the field. He missed both his three-point attempts, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and a minus 13. Yeah, it's just he wasn't as effective. A lot of people making a big deal out of him playing over Grady Dick right now. Well, in some ways, AJ's a little bit more useful in certain ways right now. Elijah Martin came out for 4 minutes and he kind of stunk too. 0 for 1. He took 1 3, he missed it, and he got a rebound. He was a minus 10. Yeah, Elijah's an interesting player. I like that infusion of energy at the end of the game. That's kind of why Darko put him in, is because the guys were kind of lackadaisical and not doing a whole lot. And Elijah, he kind of beefed up our energy all of a sudden and kind of infuse some energy because we were flat. We were flat a lot of the game and just tired, just tired. These guys really did show fatigue in this game last night, and that was a factor for how the Kings beat us, was the fatigue. Yeah, that's the whole lineup for the Raptors who played last night. We'll look on the other side real quick and give major kudos to former Raptors Precious Achiuwa and DeMar DeRozan. 28 points for each of them. Precious, 12 of 19 from the field. He was 1 of 2 from 3. He even hit a 3 at one point. I was like, man, Precious is like that tonight. Huh? He's going to hit 3 on us. 19 rebounds for Precious. A 28 and 19 game for Achiuwa. I'm just saying, man, he's going to be free agent this summer. I don't know if he doesn't get along with Scott or something. I don't know what it is, but he seemed like he was a good player to have on the Raptors. If he can circle back and be back on our team, I mean, to do the RJ Emanuel trade, we needed to trade him to New York because that's who they wanted. Doesn't necessarily mean we ever really wanted to get rid of Chua. So in some ways, it's like, can we circle back and see him this summer? In some ways, we could ask this question. Do you think Precious's number is the same as Sandro's? Like, who do you think is going to be worth more in the offseason in the free agency market? And what is possibly the right decision? I don't know. I love Precious. Precious can be a Raptor again. I'd be very happy about it. I mean, look at what he did last night. This dude is good. Trust me. It's like, why do people think he's not a good player? Because he makes boneheaded mistakes sometimes. That's the thing. Anybody who makes a boneheaded mistake sometimes, well, everybody's going to do that sometimes. And it's just some people are perfectionists. They see a bonehead mistake. They say, this guy sucks. Get rid of him. I don't think that's the case with Precious. I think he's going to make boneheaded mistakes sometimes, but the pure athletic talent and the possibilities with him are really good. And when he's locked in, he's playing right. Well, you see what he can do like he did last night. I mean, do you think that guy would have been helping our rebounding issues this year from the whole entire time this year? Yeah. Yeah, he would have been helping our rebound issues a lot this year. We yuck about at different times. Yeah. We've had him on our team as insurance for this already. We understand what Precious can do for you. And whether you think Precious is a good NBA player or not, I think he is. I think he has a very good, strong athletic talent. Very, very good player. DeMar DeRozan's 35 minutes, 28 points on 7 of 18 shooting. The thing about this, and this is what I'm going to say about DeMar's performance last night. We lost by 8. We missed 10 free throws. DeMar DeRozan at the free throw line, 12 for 12, perfect. That in some ways is a clue to how to be better, guys. Look at what he did. You see where he is on the all-time career scoring list in the NBA all-time. Look what he did. He made 12 of 12 free throws at the line. He took them very seriously. Meanwhile, y'all fumbled 10 free throws in the game, and y'all lost by 8. That's it right there. DeMar DeRozan went to the line and made 12 free throws. He doesn't make those 12 free throws. What? They don't win, right? Right? So take the leadership from DeMar in that and say, look, wow, he went 12 for 12 at the free throw line. That's part of why they won, y'all. That's part of why they won. Also, an honorable mention from Malik Monk. We're talking about during the game. Malik's a little more lost with this unit of the Kings at this point. He's a better player with other players around him. We're talking about that. Jack was talking about it on the broadcast at the same time. It's kind of uncannily weird because Fiercely asked a question in the Discord, and then Jack, like Teddy Ruxpin, played the answer on the broadcast. I was like, whoa, is he listening to you? It's like they're talking about why Malik Monk isn't as good this year as he was in years past because the personnel of the Kings has changed, and it hasn't benefited him the same way. but he was very key to winning last night. 18 points off the bench, 6 of 11 from the field. Yeah, just really smart stuff by him and DeRozan. Like I said, they were doing some veteran shit to pull off this win. Yeah, the young rookie Maxime Renault was fun to watch a little bit in there also. Yeah, some just interesting matchups in there. That Cardwell guy's annoying. Darko had to switch. He stopped playing Jakob against the first team, and he switched it to Colin for Colin to play on Achua. And then he wanted to match Jakob against the Cardwell guy, who was the really physical guy who was doing a lot of stuff on the court. He was really crazy in the first game we played against them this year. So that was part of the reason why he switched it up with Jakob and when he was playing. Team stats. This is just like crazy. The Raptors should have won according to team stats. 55% from the field. The Kings are not a good defensive team, and teams shoot well against them. And we shot 55%. How the hell did we lose? We usually shoot like we've had games this season when we shoot 30% and we win, but we shot 55% and we lost. It's crazy. They got way more shot attempts than us. Precious offensive rebounds. And we made the same amount of field goals. 42 field goals for them, 42 for us, even though we took way less shots than them. So we shot way better than them. They had 12 3-pointers. We only had 9. We could have made more threes. And that's why I think that maybe they should have played Grady. Maybe they should have had Jacoby shoot more, get more threes. The free throw line was a problem. They made +5 at the free throw line, and that's part of the margin right there. They shot 93%, only missed 2 free throws, and we shot 69% at the free throw line and missed 10. I hate it when the free throw line is a factor in why we lost. I hate it because that's the basics. That's the very simple way to not mess up. They out-rebounded us badly, 48-32. Precious. 19 offensive rebounds for them. Nobody got a body on Precious. Scotty, do you not like being near Precious? Is he like annoying to you? Is his aura not make you feel all right? And that's why you can't body him up in a box out to keep him off the boards? Are you above stopping Precious? I mean, there is a weird kind of like versus with Precious and Scotty. You can see it on the court. When they're battling against each other, Precious went and dunked it on Scotty's head at one point last night. He did. He backed him down on the baseline and threw it down on his head. And I was like, whoa, Precious just dunked on Scotty. Where's Scotty's response? Scotty, you want to be Michael Jordan versus Reggie Miller? Well, this is you versus Precious. You got to go tete-a-tete against him. You need to beat him. You need to beat him. Who is he? He wasn't even on a team as of like my birthday in August. He wasn't even on a team yet, and nobody had put him on the team yet. He was just out there in limbo waiting. And he's coming around at this point in the season and kicking your ass and now playing you at this point when you've been looking like all NBA, all defensive player of the kind of thing all year, and then you go lose to Precious. Scotty, you got more pride than this, man. You got to have more pride than this. It's obvious that Precious has more fire to come up against you than you have to go against Precious. So what the fuck is that, Scott? What's going to light a fire in your ass and make you box out a Chua? Seriously, man. Seriously, that's a big problem right there. Assist to turnover ratio was great for the Raptors. This is another sign that things were weird. 33 assists, 11 turnovers. A straight up 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. That's fantastic. 55% shooting and a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Why did the Raptors lose? Rebounding and free throws. It's stupid. It's stupid. We even got fast break points, 26 fast break points. We even beat them in the points of paint, 62 points of the paint to 54 for them. How the hell did they beat us? Veteran know-how, DeMar DeRozan, 12 for 12 at the free throw line. We missed 10 free throws. Precious Achua out-rebounds us by himself. That's how you lose. That's how you lose right there and hand the Kings their 20th win of the season. In some ways, I'm not mad at it. Once again, I start where I started at the beginning of the stream. I'm not mad at this. I'm happy for DeMar. DeMar DeRozan smiling at the end of the game, even though we are pained and feeling sad because we just lost them. In some ways, I'm happy. I wasn't upset. It wasn't upset. Yeah. Yeah. Kaloy's here. Let's see. Morning, everyone. It is what it is. We can see greatness and glimpses with our team, but we still don't have the formula down to a T. A lot of work to be done. Consistency is necessary for the Raptors, and this is normal. I saw this when watching the Orlando Magic in their early expansion years. There's different levels. You got to be a young team that figures out how to play and try to win games at the end of the game. That's a whole hurdle for a young rebuilding team, is to understand and respect how much hard it is to close out games to get wins. And there's a learning curve for a lot of young teams that don't know how to win in the fourth quarter. And they just kind of have to learn it by trial and error and going through some L's. That's a natural stage in the build towards a championship. And in some ways, the Raptors have been in this stage this year. And that's what the whole manifestation of, oh, they choke in the fourth quarter is that, teams as a unit have to get more dependable for themselves and understanding and consistent and urgency to be able to close out games and understand the challenge that must be met to get success. And that's just all natural stuff. I saw it with the Orlando Magic's expansion climb from their very first year in 1989 to their ability to get to the finals against Olajuwon and the Rockets just 6 years later. So it's like there's natural stages and signs of a team that's young and learning better the NBA. And the Raptors are on the right path and they are doing the right things and they're just learning tough lessons. That's part of this right now. Yeah, Jimmy's saying shout out to Shed and Jakob getting into the 2 point, getting it to a 2 point game. Yeah. Yeah, we were fighting. It's just that we didn't have enough. And in some ways, we can finger point specific players, but in some ways, it's an overall team energy that wasn't a right one to match the Kings and what they're trying to do. And once again, like I said, we got to be careful because DeMar DeRozan's been in this league a long time, and he knows exactly how to carry teams to wins because he did it for our team for many, many years himself. And, he's going to know how to do it. You don't want to be facing DeMar in his hot hand and with them having a lead and him just pouring more baskets in to keep their lead higher. And that's how they win. That's it right there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. G saying Scotty is extremely talented. He can be aggressive and have a killer mentality, or he can become passive and even intimidated at times. A productive vet is needed on this team to teach composure. This is an area that Garrett Temple's working heavily with Scotty Barnes. Garrett Temple's nominated for Teammate of the Year. The Twyman Stokes Award is he's a nominee, one of the 12 nominees for it in the league. Garrett talks to Scotty about this kind of stuff all the time. I know he does because on the Raptors show, he does interviews with those guys with Blake Murphy, and he talks about talking to Scotty and how he tells him about his game. So, there are people on the team that are talking to Scott and talking about his mentality and what he should be doing. Brian Macon probably has a very big part and the voice in his head about this. Obviously the coaches and Darko and Jama and people like that are talking to Scotty about what his possibilities are and what he needs to do to stay hungry and to stay aggressive. There's people there for doing this. It's not that we need somebody to come do it. It's that Scotty's got to sink it in and really get it in his brain. In some ways, he can be like, yeah, they're talking to him about it, but there's a disconnect between talking about it, telling him what he should do, and him actually getting it done out on the court and doing it. There's there are times where he does, but there's a consistency level of being a high profile superstar in this league that Scotty still has to meet. He can show signs of it. He can have a few games this year that are absolutely on a high level superstar, all NBA kind of level. But Scotty will not have truly arrived at his potential or where he could be until he does this night in, night out, all 82 games. And that's something they're working on with him. It's a lot to take in. He wears many hats for the Raptors. And in some ways, he juggles hats. And Darko doesn't want to overwhelm him in his development as he brings him up over the years. That's why it's compartmentalized. That's why there's certain sections of learning for Scotty and different parts of the game that he focuses on at different times. And that's why he's not necessarily point guard Scotty right from the start as a rookie all the way till now, because he needed to compartmentalize and do other skills like the mid-range game and the low post work to get to the point where he's well rounding his game and working on certain parts, and they have to be in the right order and they have to lay it all down in the right tracks so that it all fits. And then at the end, when he's gotten closer to being the full actualized player that he can be, you'll see all that kind of sink into place and it'll all make more sense by then. There's a method to the madness of the development of Scotty Barnes and why they do it the way they do it. There really is a whole vision. And Scotty doesn't see it himself. He's not totally cognizant of the final destination. He's trusting Darko and Brian Macon, his trainer, and other people around him that are helping to shape him. Because in some ways, his destination as an NBA player is not something he's totally dreamed about or understands. Maybe like Kobe Bryant did when he played. It's kind of a very interesting and weird, unique kind of situation. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, let's just put it that way. Jimmy's saying this: coach is not excused for this loss. It's on everyone. They know the situation. The sleep in the bed they make. They sleep in the bed they make. Yeah, but let's not overreact. Once again, people that call for firing people, there has to be a really good reason for that. And well, usually the good reason is because they underperformed over the whole season. And that has not happened this year. So anybody who's wanting to fire a coach for one game, you're stupid. You are stupid. But you're right. In some ways, I'm sure Darko will hold himself accountable in the right ways behind the scenes. It's not necessarily for our information or public knowledge. Then behind the scenes, he's probably racking his brain and beating himself up himself personally about everything that he could have done better to make the outcome better for the Raptors. I'm sure he does this every time they lose. You think that man sleeps after a loss? No. I'm sure that Gaga's saying, come to bed, Darko. And he's like, I can't. We lost. I have to do better. You don't think he's doing that at night? Seriously, that's why he has to drink all that espresso, because he does stay up at night wondering about losses. I'll bet you he does. I'll bet you he does. Fiercely saying this: revenge game was the play-in a few years ago. How many revenge games will Debo have on us? But congrats to him for surpassing Dominique Wilkins. Also, he's so good at drawing fouls, very crafty. Where's the end to this? Where's the end to his pain, Fiercey? Where's the end to his pain? I mean, look, he's come to grips with this. We know that we're on good terms with him. We know that we love him. We know we're going to retire his jersey. We know that he loves our city and he loves our fans and he loves our arena. It's just that, it's a tough thing. It's like I said, it's exactly like going to visit your ex and sitting in her living room with her, and she's with her new boyfriend, and she's sitting in there and they're kind of kissing and making out, and you have to sit in the room and just act like no, it's tough. It's a tough thing. He's often described Toronto as an ex-girlfriend. He is himself. That's why I use that analogy, because DeMar has literally said Toronto's like my ex. Toronto's like my ex-girlfriend. You still love her, but you're not with her anymore, and you kind of see her from afar. Maybe Siakam's trying to take out these Eastern Conference teams. They're in a playoff battle with us, and he's trying to help, but DeMar's not. He's like, nah, fuck y'all. I'll put you out with my daughter's screams in the background. You could call that the revenge game. But look, did Casey stop revenging after he beat us the first time when he was the Detroit Pistons coach? That first year after he got dismissed, did he stop revenging? No, he continued to try and kick our ass every time he faced us for the rest of his coaching career. So why would DeMar be satisfied with a play-in loss to us, a play-in loss for us when he was on the Bulls and his oldest daughter was screaming at the sideline? Why would he be satisfied with that? Of course, he's going to try and come beat us every time. And there have been games where he's been played very badly against us. We kicked his ass and we beat him. And he's felt that humiliation and sadness there too. He got the opportunity. He saw the opening last night. The Raptors were lackadaisical. And he said, fuck this. I'm getting revenge again tonight. And he did it. He did it. Yeah. So how many more? It's like, I don't know. How much longer is he going to play in the league? And every time we play DeMar, expect this. Every time we play him for the rest of his career, expect this kind of stuff. And rightfully so, honestly. Rightfully so. I wouldn't expect anything less because he has DeRozan code. And he's playing all out. Why is he in the league? He's trying to win. He doesn't get the opportunity to win a whole lot right now. So when he does get that opportunity, he's going to take all the lessons he learned when he was younger about how to win in this league and what it takes and how to respect it and do everything the right way to get it to there, make all 12 of your free throws. He's going to go and do it if he has the opportunity, because his opportunity is to win games this year have been scant and few. So if he's gonna get it, the cherry on top is it's your former team that traded you just before they won a championship. Oh yeah, he's gonna go get it. He's gonna go get that revenge because it lined up just right for him on a full moon April Fool's Day. Yeah, that sounds like it in itself. It's like, whoa, that sounds like karmic shit right there. A full moon April Fool's Day. April Fools, Toronto fans. You just lost to the lowly Kings, and DeMar DeRozan was the man who did it. Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. In some ways, it's a story you see. Yeah. Yeah. G saying this. I mentioned how McCollum on the Hawks has been a good stabilizer and mentor, and some nephews mock me, but I see our team needs that. That they play with immaturity and low discipline at times. I've been hearing good things about CJ McCollum on the Hawks so far. Like it's a really interesting, fantastic fit, like right away, which is very interesting. I mean, he's been a high level player for a long time. It's just been toiling on Washington. I don't have a lot of respect for him because of his leadership when he was the leader of the Players Association. But as a player, he's still got some juice in him, and they're finding a lot of value in him in Atlanta right now. That's very interesting. Yeah, maybe we could get a player that's somewhat kind of like this. That's why I was kind of like saying, this is the thing. Markelle Fultz's 10-day contract ran out today, and I don't think they're going to re-sign him. We'll have to see. Maybe there's breaking news. Maybe I should go look and see if they've actually decided anything with Markelle Fultz because his contract ran out yesterday. And well, we're gonna have to see this. Okay, here we go. Blake Murphy is saying this half an hour ago. Small Raptors transaction note with Markelle Fultz's 10-day done. They need to sign their next 10-day today if they want to keep the final day of the season open to convert a two-way to make them playoff eligible, unless they just cut the 10-day early, I suppose. So yeah, okay. So they have to make a decision today if they want to make things line up exactly right. So yeah, that is breaking news from Blake Murphy on Blue Skies that I'm reading right there. Yeah, Bob the Bomb, Bob ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb. I appreciate your subscription. I like that, Bob ba bomb. That sounds like that Super Mario character. It's ba bomb, ba bomb, Bob Yeah, that bomb that would blow up, Bob Bomb from Super Mario World. So it's Bob Ba Bomb, Bob Ba Bomb. I like that. I'm gonna keep saying that. It's like Bob Blah Blah, Bob Blah Blah from Arrested Development, Scott Baio. Hi, this is my lawyer, Bob Blah Blah. Bob Blah Blah, Bob Ba Bomb. All right, no disrespect. I think your name's awesome. It's alliteration. Yeah, I appreciate your subscription. He's saying I can listen to you talk for a long time, and I haven't watched Raptors in quite a while. Keep doing your thing, brother. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, I just want to be real about DeMar DeRozan today. I just feel like, in some ways, I'm a historian on this channel. Being a Raptor fan from the very beginning, I was 20 years old when they started. I wasn't a young person. I was already fully an adult when the Raptors started, and I'm 50 years old now. I have the historical perspective to put this all in place in some ways that other Raptors channels on YouTube just aren't going to do because they're younger and they don't have the full vision of the whole entire entity of the Raptors franchise history. And in some ways, this stuff with DeMar, in some ways, you can't get mad at this Raptors fans. In some ways, this is part of us paying back some of the stuff for us to get that championship in 2019. You can't get mad at this, y'all. It's DeMar. It's a special case. It's the same reason why when I watched that game and that playing game against the Bulls and I heard somebody screaming at half court, I'm like, who's screaming at the free throws? I'm like, I want to kill them. I want to kill that person who's screaming every time the Raptors shoot a free throw in the playing game against the Bulls. And who is it? Who is it? Oh, it's DeMar DeRozan, this daughter of DeMar. Oh, shit. I can't be mad at that. I can't get mad at her yelling like that because she's truly loyal for her dad. She saw the pain her dad went through because she was an old enough child to see it when he got traded from the Raptors. And she's just a loyal daughter that's doing something passionately in love for her father. You can't get mad at that. If there was any other person screaming at that playing game, I would have been pissed off at them and I'd be like, who the fuck was that? But I can't get mad at this. In some ways, I got to respect her passion and what she tried to do for her father, even though it was a detriment to us and we lost our coach because of it. Well, in some ways we needed to, trust me. In some ways, DeMar DeRozan helped speed up things to get Nick Nurse the fuck out of here because he was a problem and he was a dead end at that point for our team. Trust me. And it forced Masai's hand to say, yeah, Nick, you got to go. And then, of course, Daryl Morey scooped him up like the whole plan was in the beginning before when Nick Nurse submarined our team on purpose so that he could get fired so he could go coach the Sixers. You know, I can't get mad at this. In some ways, it's the same energy. I can't get mad at DeMar beating our ass. In some ways, we deserve it. And it's totally worth it. We got a championship out of this, guys. So we got to remember that's part of this. That's part of what this is right here. That's part of what this is right here. Trevor J saying Indiana Fever games versus Tempo, June 16th, August 18th. And say, why are you just giving me random games when they're playing the Fever? I don't care about this right now. We're going to get to these games on their order. Tomorrow's a big day for the Tempo. We're going to have players finally as of 3:30 tomorrow. Tomorrow on the WNBA app, you can watch the expansion draft for the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire. And, well, we're going to have players for Sandy Brondello to coach as of tomorrow. And the crazy thing is they'll start playing in like 3 weeks. They'll start playing right away this month in games that are preseason and then regular season right away next month in May. So there's no time. There's no runway. There's no 3 or 4 months of getting prepared like Golden State Valkyries had for their expansion. They got their players in December, and they got a ramp up to get into the next season, which was like 4 months later. No, we're going to have 3 weeks. So we're going to have to see the magician that Sandy Brondello is as far as a head coach to throw a team and its identity together and try and get them to work together as a cohesive team in a 3-week period. Want a lot of reps, not a lot of chemistry built up. Well, maybe there is. You know, I'm excited, man. Tomorrow's going to be awesome. The stream on Saturday is going to be much watch on this channel because we're going to go over all the players that the Tempo have picked up in the expansion draft, and we're going to kind of try and figure out the identity of the Toronto Tempo from just that. Yeah, we're going to see who they get tomorrow at 3:30 in the afternoon. Also be previewing the Memphis Grizzlies game tomorrow night that Bryce Lawson will be attending. That's right. Jimmy's saying, I respectfully disagree, Lex. That's fine. Everybody doesn't have to agree with Lex's takes on the Kings game last night and the losses. I just want to offer another perspective to maybe what you're thinking about it. And, I'm going to give this win to DeMar more than I'm going to give an L to the Raptors. I'm going to celebrate a GROAT. I'm going to celebrate number 10. And in some ways, if you want to be happier in your life, let's go with the happy winning side. The Raptors stunk. That's their own damn fault. They lost. In some ways, I'll be a turncoat and say, yeah, I'm a Kings fan from last night because I love DeMar DeRozan. And I'm okay with what happened last night. I can be okay with this. It's my choice. Y'all don't want to be okay with it? That's your choice too. I have reasoned a way in my head mentally to be fine with what happened last night. And my reasoning is that we owe DeMar a chance for us to get our ass kicked by him because of mental trauma from years ago. And it's everybody can look at it how they want to. In some ways, my perspective and the way I look at it, well, it fits for me. It fits for me. Fiercely saying this, experts said we would not even make the play-in. Still a successful season, in my opinion. It is for sure. But Jamal and Jacoby talking about their drive to participate in the playoffs didn't translate on the floor. Jamal did well in the second half, though. He was playing his ass off. He was playing his ass off. And I commend Jamal Shed for that. In some ways, these guys are urgent, but they didn't have the right urgency as a group together last night. There were also problems with communication. Some of them were not communicating on defense correctly. And things were getting behind us. And easy baskets were gotten. So, yeah, communication was switching. They did a good job on the TSN crew last night with Kia Nurse and Leo Routens, kind of going over why the defense was so bad against the Pistons. And then it was a rerun against the Kings last night. Miscommunication on our defense is really killing us the last 2 games, where the players are not covering their assignments and the way they're supposed to switch and the rotation of our defense is not getting done. Some of it I've noticed is it's not Ingram from last night, but in the Pistons game, it was Ingram and Colin. Colin is not rotating correctly. There's a couple of places where he's supposed to run out to shooters, and he's totally missing his assignment. And Kia Nurse pointed it out at the beginning of the game. He did, yeah. Kaloy saying this, painful lesson that will get us matched up against the Hornets in the play-in. Let's see how this team plays with the backs against the wall. Once again, where we are right now is not necessarily where we're going to finish. This is not set in stone yet. We got 6 more games. We still have the ability to make our own destiny, and that's by winning games, going out, and getting the fuck out of the play-in, because we don't want the Hornets in the play-in. We do not. You're right. We don't want to be in the play-in in general. But let's not act like where we are right now is permanently set in stone. We got the opportunity to jump back up into a playoff spot, and we will. I believe that. I don't think we're going to be a play-in team. We're still going to get either 5 or 6. It's just that we got to go through the battles internally and mentally right now, the way they are thinking after this loss, and come back with a better effort and kick some major ass. If we beat the Celtics or the Knicks or both of them in the games that are in, how are you going to feel after that? So let's not just be doomed to where we are exactly right now and say, this is where we are now. Oh my gosh. No, we can change this still. It is that close. It is that close. That's right. That's right. Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph Phillips. Blessings, beloved Raptor freaks. Fam, it's better to be 1,000 years as a fool than a single day as a tyrant. The fool is always quick to fight, but the warrior knows which battle to fight. Interesting. Man, these are interesting words of wisdom today. This is a really interesting one from Randolph. So he's saying it's better to be 1,000 years as a fool than a single day as a tyrant. They call it the king for a day, fool for a lifetime kind of thing. This is interesting. This is very interesting. I like this. I don't even know how to expound on this. Some way I could tie in the guy who's running the States right now. But I think that's just simple. I think it's kind of funny that he did a whole speech last night on April Fool's Day, and he looked like a fool himself. Man, I don't even know what he's saying about the Iran war at this point. Does that make any sense, what he's saying at all? In some ways, he's just a big distraction for Putin to get what he wants. He's such a double agent, that Krasnov. It's crazy. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Rap Freak families. That's right. That's right. Smooth saying this team has a way to go. Not good enough right now. That's simple. Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with this, guys. It's not like teams just all of a sudden come perfect team right away. That's really rare. To come up and be so good so fast, you got to have a lot of things come up in the right kind of ways. So there's nothing wrong with us not being perfect right now. There's nothing wrong with us being young and inexperienced and fumbling sometimes. This is human nature. This is natural. And there's nothing wrong with this. People can overreact to it and just get all crazy about it. That's their own damn fault. That's their own damn fault. They want to be like that, they can go ahead. In fact, let's go look at Raptors Reddit. But we're not going to go look at all the negative posts that are there and the stupid shit some people are saying right now. We're going to go and celebrate OK Artist 7353. You are the Raptors Redditor of the day. I have seen your artwork. Sandro Mamukelashvili plus 47 against the Magic, by the way. This guy's saying, I'm doing this thing where I draw a player from every franchise to try and improve my drawing skills. And after doing the Jazz and the Suns, I'm finally doing my home team. Might do a rookie from the Pelicans after, because I'll honestly forget about them if I don't do them now. That's hilarious. He's drawn a picture of Sandro with the 54 on it. It's actually quite good. It's very, very good. In some ways, I feel like I should send this to Alessandro so that he can send it to Sandro and show him this artwork by the Raptors Redditor of the day. And that is OK Artist 7353. So thank you for sharing your talent and your art with us. You guys can always check out the Raptors Redditor of the day on Raptors official Reddit on Reddit. Yeah, there's a lot of turkeys out there just whining and crying about the loss in their Reddit posts like crazy. And in some ways, I ain't got no time to go look at their posts or the comment section in any of those places. Everybody's got their opinions about what's wrong with the team. And in some ways, the overreactions are not right. And the whole world, the whole big perspective that we have here is right. Seriously, because this is a big, long project. This isn't just one single game. This is a big, long project. And it's not even just a project for a season. This is a project for multiple seasons to get to the next Larry O'Brien. And in some ways, you can overreact to some temporary failure and make your ultimate success not happen because you overreacted to it. This can happen. This happens in the NBA all the time. Trust me. Trust me. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying this. And thank you guys for supporting the channel, by the way. Fiercey, Smooth Brown Man, and Shaq Lindsay. Well, I look at the loss as twofolds. The team isn't good enough and probably needs a change of direction in surrounding Scotty and BI with shooters. Despite the despite the hang on, it stopped. What did he write in this next comment? Let me see. Despite the okay, he never finished. Despite the okay. The team is not good enough to challenge for a championship right now, but it should be in the future. And yes, this offseason, we need to fix shooting and a half court offense. There's definitely things we could do to improve this team. And Bobby's, as the head of basketball operations, is going to make the decisions this summer, not any jabroni on Reddit and nobody else. He is a one man decision maker as the captain of the ship, just like Masai before. And he will run the ship like Masai would in his absence beyond him. So I have trust in Bobby. And this summer, we'll just see what happens with the draft, free agency, and other things as far as what we can get to figure out what we can do. Maybe a trade. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah. Smooth saying 5-20 against 500 teams or better, not good. Yeah. Well, in some ways, we're just in a tier that's below the best teams in the league. In some ways, it's ref manipulation holding us down and being gatekeepers and saying, no, you're not beating the Celtics and the Knicks because the NBA doesn't want that. There's a little bit of that energy too. So we have to be above and beyond because we're going to have to beat 8 versus 5 to beat the Celtics and the Knicks. And we have to beat them, and they're very good too. So, there's different tiers of teams in the league. And I'm not ashamed to say that the Raptors are not a championship tier team right now. But as Scotty grows into his all NBA-ness and being a top defensive player in the league more, the future is still very bright. And I still do have these shades here. And, you got to wear shades when your future's bright. And we got a future that is bright still. We got Colin Murray-Boyles. We got Jacoby Walter. We got Scotty Barnes. So, yeah, let's not overreact. That's right. Stargate's saying, you tell him, Lex. He likes what I've been saying here. That's right. I appreciate you, Stargate. Randolph saying all this conspiracy theories is not the issue for this team. Our main guys are nicked up. This was when playing the younger guys is why we have them on the roster. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that the schedule's diabolical. This is a diabolical year. And Matt and Jack were talking about this on the broadcast, that a lot of NBA teams have been complaining that there's no rhyme or reason to the rhythm of the season. You'll have we just played 3 games in 4 days. That's the other thing we're not putting into factor. They traveled, they played 2 home games and a game in between in Detroit, and we played Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's 3 games in 4 days near the end of the season. That's the thing. This schedule is diabolical. You got a lot of games jammed in together, and then we've got huge, vast periods where we didn't have games, and we'd get like 3 or 4 days off around the All-Star break. We didn't need all that time off around the All-Star break. We needed some of those days in February that we had off distributed in the other months of the season, because there's a couple of months this season where the Raptors played like 16 games in 30 days. It's like crazy shit. It's diabolical. And in some ways, the other thing that's insidious about the NBA schedule is that there's no rhythm to it. It's like play here, back to back, and then 2-3 days off. There's no way for these guys to get their natural body rhythms into sync with this is the way our schedule works, and like this and this. You got to also remember, part of what happened last night is you don't have the proper rest and recovery at this stage in the season, especially after a back-to-back. And sure, we can talk about the Pistons going to Oklahoma City and kicking our ass the next night in Detroit, and we didn't do the same thing as them. But that it still doesn't take out the factor that your rest and recovery time is tough on a back-to-back. It's just tough, especially when you have to travel that night. It's just tough. You don't get the same recovery stuff, and that can do things to your body. So, yeah, think about the schedule. The schedule is so erratic. If it was a song with beats, you'd be dancing all funky like Elaine on Seinfeld. It's not like a beat, like a drum and bass beat, do, 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 where it's like got even pace, and like the tempo in between is like even paced and the games are separated even. No, they're erratic. They're a weird beat. If they were like a musical road like they have in Europe, where you drive over the speed bumps and it makes notes and it plays the national theme of that country, it would be all like herky jerky and shit, because the schedule is very crazy with the way that they spread out the games and condense the games in certain sections. So that on the down low is part of what happened last night too. These guys have been playing hard, all out kind of basketball since October. And now it's like how many months later? They've been playing like this, like crazy, almost every other day for the whole entire season. And we know our Raptors play all out more often than most of the teams in the league because of our play style and what our coach demands of our team. So in some ways, having fatigue at this point in the season is natural. They are human beings, right? So I mean, there's that whole aspect of the schedule and the erraticness and the biorhythm of the players and how that affects people over a whole course of a season, 6 months of it to get to this point. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? No, the schedule is devious, man. It's one of the most devious things. Every year when it comes out, I thought this year's schedule was pretty good overall, and I think it has been because we've been very successful. But there are still devious things about it, like the fact that we're going to have to play the Knicks on the second night of a back-to-back as our last back-to-back, and we have to travel to them from Toronto to New York. It's just to set up a little easier thing for the Knicks to beat us in the last game of the season. Yeah, make it the second night of a back-to-back, a travel from Pearson to LaGuardia. Shit like that, man. Yeah. G saying this, I love DeMar, but not happy for him. Heck no. Now, do I think this was a lesson for our youth? Yes. They are young mentally, and it shows, and this will help them grow up quicker. Yeah, if they're pissed off like RJ, they should be. They should be pissed off. They should wake up this morning, look at the standings, and be like, what the fuck? We're in the play-in now. And they should be pissed off. Yeah, Scotty, whatever you're feeling today, feed it towards the court when you get on the court against the Grizzlies tomorrow. That's what I got to say to that right there. Yeah. Stargate saying even some of the Raptor Freak family members are guilty of what you're iterating. Well, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody specifically. And I don't believe that that most of y'all are like this at all, honestly. And even the things I'm saying, it's fair to be critical of this team. It's fair to be constructive criticizing the players and Darko. It's fair to do that. It's just that the limit of it is you're not doing it to the toxic level where it's like this is not necessary or you're just denigrating them. You need to give us meaty morsels of advice and constructive criticism if you want to come at them. And in some ways, it's like, no, they just suck. Jakob's washed and old. His back sucks. This is not constructive criticism. This is not helpful. And that's the difference. I don't mind people being negative about the Raptors. It's just that you better come with something that's a solution for us to fix it instead of just denigrating and insulting them, because that's the difference. That's the difference right there. Reggie's saying within the context of the Raptors and their playoff lives, this loss was gross, pure and simple. I mean, if they're just happy to be there, then fine. Be happy and continue on with the rebuild. I mean, the biggest thing is they need to get a taste of really high stakes, meaningful game. And with the level of the uptick of the physicality and the refereeing and the defense and the way that teams play, it's much better for us to get a full first round series than to just get a play-in game or two and fall out. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. That's right. That's right. That's for sure. Yeah. Stargate saying, I want to see Lex go off on certain people here. Yeah, I don't want to go off on any of the Raptor freaks. Everybody here is friendly, and everybody wants the same things that we want, Stargate. They want Raptors championships. They want good and success for us. I do. I want that too. That's right. C. Haji's here. Good morning, C. Haji. Precious Revenge. Yeah. Thank you for the subscription. This is totally true. And once again, I'll take my victory lap. I love Precious. I've been a huge Precious stan since he came to the Toronto Raptors. In fact, I kind of liked him when he was on Miami before he even came to our team. And well, while he was on the Raptors team, I was a big supporter for Precious, even when people were saying a lot of critical things about him. And I was saying, no, guys, listen, trust me. This guy's good. And he's the kind of player that you want on your team, even if he seems like a project and he seems aloof and he doesn't seem consistent. There's something about him. And I even said in the early years of Barnes that, Precious is a rival as an athletic specimen to Scotty Barnes. And well, Precious outplayed Scotty last night. He outplayed the hell out of him. You don't have to be the franchise tag. You don't have to make the big, huge money to outplay a player in the league. And Precious Achua proved that last night. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying the loss I love, what I saw from Colin Murray-Boyles. Shed needs to work on his shooting in the offseason. Drafting 18 to 14 is a lot better than 20 to 24. These losses will be a strong indication to the type of player we need to draft. So right now it's between Boston and Detroit. If I was the Raptors, I'd probably be more comfortable playing Detroit. Once again, Shaq Lindsay's just locking in that this is where we're going to be. I don't believe that. I think we're going to get back to the 6th seed, if not the 5th seed, somehow, some way. So yeah, don't assume our fate is all etched in stone right now. It is not. And as Leo Routon said last night on the broadcast, this could go all the way to the 82 and determining who is going to be and where they're going to be. So let's not just say, oh, just because we see this right now. And I'm not thinking about the draft in any kind of way. The draft is something that is for after the season to think about when everything is all said and done. It's just a distraction. And any kind of determining whether we should win or lose because of what we care about the drafting, that is a big no-no because that is pretty much tanking. And I'm not thinking about any of that kind of shit. We get what we get, where we finish. And that, you know what? We have a great front office that'll get a quality player wherever we draft. And that's the right attitude on that. Speaking of Colin Murray-Boyles, I'm going to stand on this even stronger after the last couple games of his returns from back spasms. That man is like Charles Barkley. You put a wig of dreads on Charles Barkley, and you stand him next to Colin Murray-Boyles, he'll look like his father and son. I'm telling you right now, it's not just the facial resemblance, it's the DNA to the game. This man is Barkley kind of shit. And I know people laughed at me when I made this comparison about Colin last year when I started to see his game to be presented to us. I said, man, that dude is like a Barkley. And everybody's like, why would you say he's like Charles Barkley? I mean, just listen to me here. He's an undersized forward who's extremely strong, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants around the basket. Plus, people forget Barkley had extremely good hands. He had extremely good hands. He could steal the ball from people just like Colin does now. He could block shots too. There's a highlight reel where Charles Barkley got up there on the elevator and blocked Dikembe Mutombo. So I'm going to stand on this some more. The comparison of Colin Murray-Boyles to Charles Barkley. And if you're not familiar with Charles Barkley's game, youngsters, because you only know him as a talking head on Inside the NBA, you can go back and look. Part of it is the strength for his size and frame and how he holds presence on the court is similar to Barkley. And part of it is also that Colin Murray-Boyles has that elevator like Barkley does to jump really fast, high, springs, and do what he wants near the basket. Some of the interior offensive work is smacks of Barkley left and right. Strong inside post presence, finishing baskets, making sure they're going in, even though guys next to him are taller than him. He's stronger and he's shorter, but he's still getting it to go in. That's Charles Barkley. That's Charles Barkley all over the place. Seriously, man. That's my player comp for Colin. And people can laugh at it. You know, I think that Colin may be a better defensive player than Barkley, but Barkley is a better offensive player than Colin. But that's you know, they're somewhere on the same spectrum. And the body type and the athletic skill is very, very similar. Let's just put it that way. In some ways, it's like if you wonder what Charles Barkley would look like in the NBA playing in today's game, well, Colin Murray-Boyles might be your answer. That's what he looks like. If you wanted to know what Charles would look like playing against today's athletes. Yeah, I'm going to stand on that comparison because I see more evidence of it, especially when that man's gathering 5 offensive rebounds on one possession. That's Barkley shit right there. He tipped the shit out of it. Keep tipping it and keep it alive. Even though he's got Mutombo, he's got Alonzo Mourning, he's got all these motherfuckers around him that should be out rebounding him. He's out rebounding them with tips and keeping the ball alive and putting it back. That's Barkley shit right there, man. That is Barkley shit, man. Stargate saying I'm with G on this one. Okay. All right. Draft. The fuck? Yeah, I'm not worried about the draft right now. No, who cares? And it's like whichever pick is whatever pick, who cares? We're going to get good players. It doesn't matter. Smooth saying, like I said, 45 and 37 for a record. Still possible. What the record means within a build, I have no idea. Does it mean a Detroit type situation? I have no idea. You know, we can't compare ourselves to the Pistons or the Spurs. Their arcs of coming up from the ashes are different than ours. In some ways, we didn't go as deeply down as they did. The Pistons had such a dark season a few years ago. The Spurs also, and their climb is bolstered, for the Spurs with Wemby. Wemby is a huge X factor and jumping the Spurs up to being second in the West. The Pistons rise to being number one in the East. This is, a lot to do with Kate Cunningham and a lot to do with a very intricate way that they've gone about their business. They have not been missing on most of their decisions. They've been making very good decisions. And once again, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Dwayne Casey because he was a part of the build for us in the 2010s and building us up in the We the North era with Masai in charge and Dwayne as our coach with DeMar DeRozan and building us up to the championship. And, Casey knows the path. And in some ways, he's been a prominent part of the Pistons organization since we dismissed him. And he has been building them up to this point. So, I don't think it's any surprise or I'm not like this is exactly what I thought would happen with the Pistons because in some ways Casey's like that. So, the Pistons in their rise, they're all different kind of paths. And sometimes it's like a basketball. You throw the basketball harder to the ground where it hits the ground really hard. It bounces up higher, right? Well, we didn't bounce as hard off the ground, hitting our bottom as San Antonio and Detroit. And partly that's part of the reason why they're bouncing all the way up so high, right? We're going to come up still. We have more levels to come up in, and we're not hitting our ceiling like some negative ninnies and naysayers and nephews would say. This is the Raptors who they are. They're just going to be this good. Well, this isn't good enough for a championship. Blow it up. That mentality is wrong. We are young and we're developing and we make leaps and bounds as Walter and Barnes do, as Murray-Boyles does, as Shed does. And when these guys go in the offseason and work hard and come back better, they all add up to being better next year. So there's a lot of that growth in that. Sure. You guys want easy ways to get up higher in the elevator towards Larry O'Brien? Go get a really high draft pick by tanking? Yeah, see, that doesn't always work. Go ask Markelle Fultz. Yeah, go ask him. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep going. Shaq Lindsay's saying, I hope that Bobby is working really hard. We got draft picks. We got 2 All-Stars. We have a great fan base, and B.I., Scotty are in their prime with Colin and Jacoby as talented young players. This sounds like a very rosy situation. This sounds like a very positive, good situation. If you're assessing all 30 teams in the NBA, we're going to be in one of the teams that's on the positive side and going in the right direction. There's a lot of other teams who are going to be like, yeah, this is a mess. This sucks. Well, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here in Sacramento. There's a lot of teams like this. And we at least have a direction we're going in, and that is up. We're not going down. We're continuing to go up. Trust me. Brandon gets more integrated this offseason, and we have leaps and bounds with our young players that we just mentioned. Look out. We can get better next year. Trust me. We can. We'll be older and wiser, and that alone makes you better. That's right. Jimmy's saying East is going to be a lot tougher next year. That doesn't scare me. Ooh, Count Floyd, very scary. Ooh, who cares? We're going to be tougher too. And we'll be ready to match and make the challenge. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying this, it might be a first round exit or maybe a play-in exit, but we have to move forward and be better next year. I agree. That's why this offseason is so important for us. Yeah. Yeah. Championship or bust mentality is not healthy. And honestly, allowing for the results to occur naturally in the way they're supposed to, we got to remember we're just fans. We're spectators. We watch it. We can live it. If you really want to live it, you can go through all the emotions the players do and crash out in failures or get a jubilation from the successes. As fans, you could just be like, you know what? I want to enjoy the successes and we'll celebrate when they win and stuff like that. When they lose, you know what? I'm going to separate my emotions and I'm going to go do my hobby. Yeah, I'm going to go do something else and get my mind off basketball instead of wallowing in it and getting all emotional and looking myself in the mirror like Scotty Barnes was looking at himself in the mirror after a game last night. No, I don't need to do that. I'm a fan. I'm not getting paid by MLSC and Ed Rogers. So what the fuck am I going through the emotional roller coaster? I think some people need that, that reality check that I just said right there. So it's like, let's celebrate. Let's get in the streets when they win the championship and let's put 8 million people in the street for a championship parade. But also when they lose, do y'all have to crash out and get into a depression? Do y'all have to drink your face off after a Raptors loss like I used to when I was an alcoholic active? And I used to numb the pain by drinking tons of Budweiser after a basketball game and just getting totally shit faced drunk. Yeah, that's not the way to handle this. The best way to do it is to just be, you know what? They lost. I can't control it. Understand what you can and cannot control and separate yourself from it. And you'll be much healthier for it. Trust me. You'll be much more healthier for it. It's really, really, really important to have that a level of detachment to a degree. You can care about the team and be as passionate about the team as I am, but understand you got to do that sometimes. Yeah, Jimmy's saying, I don't get too emotionally attached. They need to prove themselves. They got to prove that they can be competitive against good teams and rise to the pressure. We're in that. Let's see, period. Yeah. Yeah. This is very astute. This is a mature standpoint right here. This is a mature standpoint. And in some ways, once again, it's a big picture, it's a long process, it's a work in progress. And we got to go through the process in the process order, and it has to be done deliberate and slow to a degree, because in sometimes you build something fast, it doesn't last as long. So if you build it slower and you really make it take over time, you have a bigger window for the opportunity to win championships. You could go all for it in a quick short-term way and you'll only get like a 1 or 2 year championship window. If you build it right, you can possibly have a contending for a championship window of like 5 or 6 years. So you got to do this right. If you rush anything in this life, you will not get the best results. If you do it correctly, you'll get the best results. That's the difference right there. That's the difference right there. Jimmy's saying it's time. It's up to them if they want to be here long term. Get it done. Show you can rise the moment. That's right, Grady Dick. That's great. You want to be here the long term. You love being a Raptor. Well, get it right. Get it going. And I know you didn't get opportunity last night. And well, it's them's the breaks. In some ways, when you get your number called, number one, you better get out there and hit those number threes. That's right. You better get out there and hit those threes. That's it right there. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying, thank you so much for the shout out, Lex. We're extremely happy for her journey to come. Heritage has a great program and she fits in with their culture. She was invited to practice with them and they like what they saw. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. I just love this. I didn't know what to expect with Fiercey Junior's journey. I've never really actually seen much of her play. And you're a mom, you're going to be talking her up, obviously, because you're very proud of her. In some ways, it's like this is bona fide. She's going to collegiate basketball. This is bona fide. This is awesome, man. I'm so happy for the both of you. This is exciting. And RFF has got strong support for Fiercey Jr. and her collegiate basketball career. We want to hear everything about it. And who knows, maybe one day she'll be wearing the colors of the Toronto Tempo and run around in Coca-Cola Coliseum. This is what we're talking about. The growth of the sport and the growth of women's basketball, what Masai Ujiri's been talking about on City TV all week and the breakfast television and social. That's right. That's right. Neil's saying this. Technically, the Raptors beat the Raptors last night. You had DeMar, Precious, and Doug. I like this standpoint. The Raptors beat the Raptors. That's what this is. Doug Christie really, really not a bad job coaching last night. He had a really smart challenge that changed a very important point in the game where we could actually started coming back, but Doug Christie made the challenge. And it was a difference of a foul changing from a defensive foul to offensive foul. And it was a good call. It was the right call, even though it was against the Raptors. And that was a crucial challenge by Doug Christie that absolutely was at a poignant time late in the game that determined something. So, yeah, really, really smart coaching by Doug. He's been under fire. Obviously, this year's been not successful, and a lot of people don't like him. And a lot of people are saying he's garbage, and they don't want him to be coach of the Kings. So there's a lot of Kings fans that have turned on Doug Christie because of how bad they've been this year. So it's kind of nice in some ways, like not just for DeMar and the things I've said about him on the stream, but for former Raptor Doug Christie to get a little bit more insurance because they got a good win over the Raptors last night. So in some ways, I could see that side of it. The Raptors beat the Kings once, and Luke Walton got fired as the coach the next day. That is in the history of these two franchises. Yeah, they fired the hell out of Luke Walton after a bad loss to the Raptors. when we were kind of in a bad year, and they shouldn't have lost to us. Yeah, that's why some people think they should fire Darko right now, but it's not the same situation. It's not the same situation. Smooth saying, Lex, didn't you say if the Raptors finished in the play-in, it would be a disappointment? That's not exactly what I said. What I said was, I mean, it would be a disappointment if they finished in a because in the middle of the season they were in a regular playoff spot. But honestly, if I'm going all the way back to the beginning of the year, I said that if they were involved in meaningful games by the end of the year, and they are in the playoffs or the play-in, that's successful because we weren't in either last year. But yeah, I'm greedy. I want the playoffs, and I still think they're going to get that. Now, if they get in the play-in and I have to amend my expectations, I'll amend them accordingly. In some ways, I'm not going to call them a failure. I'm not going to call them a failure. Adriana's here. She's saying that's fantastic, Fiercey. Girl power. There you go, Adriana, commissioner of trivia. Adriana in the house. Girl power. Let's go. Let's go. Smooth saying this, respectively, is it cosmetic success or success that can be maintained? I don't know, man. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing is like every NBA team is not going to be perfect every night. The Oklahoma City Thunder have losses, right? How did we go beat them in Oklahoma City this season? There's going to be down nights. There's going to be low energy nights, and nobody's going to be perfect. And what is the level of consistency that you can maintain? Some people are more consistent than others, right? Just like players or teams. And well, you want to be a more consistent team. That means you win more often, right? But you're not going to be perfect all the time. The Celtics lose games. The Knicks lose games. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? Right? That's what it is right there. Jimmy's saying the goal was the playoffs. The players said so themselves, not taken away from the progress, but that's what they said. Yeah. Brandon said it. Other people said it. They said it very early in the season. Well, they can still do that. It's not like they're totally out. They're like tied for a playoff spot. It's just that the tiebreaker goes to Sixers right now. They have the same record as the Sixers. Sixers lose more games than we lose for the rest of the season. Well, we're above them in the playoff standings, right? And we're in the playoffs. So it's like I think you guys are overreacting to once again the present moment and just seeing where we are currently right now. I mean, we dipped into the play-in last week too, right? Because of a loss. Did that mean we were going to stay there? No. And that's why I want to remind you guys. We'll see where we finish, and well, we'll adjust and our opinion at that point. But right now, I'm not conceding that we're in a play-in team right now. That's silly. That's foolish. We can still get that playoff spot back. In some ways, we need the Sixers. They have a tougher schedule than us going out to fumble and lose some more, and we need to win more than they win, and then we'll be above them because we're exactly the same record as them right now, and they just barely have a tiebreaker over us. We actually even the series with them 2-2, and they win the tiebreaker because of their Atlantic Division record as the next tiebreaker, and that's the only reason why. Yeah, Trevor's saying Portland Trailblazers got fined for talking to Young Hansen too early. Yeah, they talked to him like 2 years before the draft, and that's a big no-no. In some ways, this is not important news to us. In some ways, it's not. It's not. Stargate saying, Fiercely, that's me with the Facebook request. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Let's see. Trevor's saying Chicago Sky fans are saying they're the dumbest franchise to give away draft picks to protect players from the roster. That's hilarious. So that must mean, in reverse, we're the smartest franchise. So we don't even have players, and we just got a draft pick for a promise. That's the logic, right? They're the dumbest franchise, the Sky, so we're the smartest franchise, right? That's how it works, right? I like that. I'm going to give Trevor a dunk for that one. I like that one. Yeah, all right, let's see. Where's Trevor J on the dunk charts now? He's at 24. He's got that Mo Pete 24. Let's go, Flintstone. Let's go. Let's see. Blackhawks saying Raptors still helping out Precious's career. Man, Precious does this sometimes, man. Precious has been starting for the Kings solidly this whole year, and he's been one of their better players, honestly. This is not an aberration. I've looked at Kings box scores this season, and usually two of the most important guys that are scoring the most are DeMar and Precious for the Kings. So this is not an aberration. He's been their main big man since DeMattis has been out, and he's been holding it down, even though they lose, right? So yeah, Neil saying Precious wasn't a fit for Darko. I agree Precious is good, but I don't believe this coaching staff had the patience for him. Well, the thing with Precious is the passing isn't the same. I think the biggest thing, because we see it with Sandro, we see it with Yak, that if you're on the Raptors, you have to be a very high level passer. And that's why Trace Jackson Davis is in the fold too. Colin Murray-Boyles is a very good passer. And there may very well be a prerequisite that Bobby Webster has right now, because Darko is our coach, that any player that we get has to have this aspect of unselfishness and high level passing. And if you don't have it, you're gone. Chris Boucher, Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, Precious Achua. And that may be true. That may be true right there, what Neil's saying, that he's not a fit for Darko because of the passing. And that's why we passed on him last summer when he was available and the Kings went and got him. I think that's it. Because, Precious is a black hole. If you give him the ball, he's probably going to shoot it himself. He's less likely to pass it to the next person. That is very true. That's very, very true. Yeah, Neil's saying, I believe we need a good power forward center that is 6'11" to be a good backup for Jakob. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'm happy with our bigs right now. I know that some people would say, "Oh, we need more people," but I mean, if we're holding on to Trace Jackson Davis, Mobo's continuing to develop. If Sandro can be kept in the fold this offseason, Jakob is healthy, we're okay. We've got pretty much the right kind of size, and Scotty's involved in this too. He is involved in the bigs and counting the bigs on our team because of the way he plays. Cool Cat's here. Good morning to Cool Cat. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Bummer we lost that game. It was a winnable game. Precious and DeMar revenge game was on display. They were determined, huh? Yeah, they were very determined. Very, very determined. And we wish you all the best health and wealth and sunshine and rainbows and just the best things coming towards Cool Cat. We need to have the healing vibes to Cool Cat as she continues her journey and what she's doing right now. So we love you, Cool Cat, Coach. All the healing vibes, and may Jesus and God above bless you with healing and just the best things coming, the best news. That's what I want for Cool Cat. That's right. Stargate saying, Cool Cat, really nice to see you, my friend. Yeah, really good to see Cool Cat in the chat. Let's see. All right. Fiercey saying, Stargate, I'm looking at my friend request list, but can't trace you. Don't want to hijack the stream. Reach out via Discord so I can see your FB user info. There you go. All right. All right. I appreciate that concern, Fiercey. It's all good. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi to Cool Cat, and Fiercey saying, let's go tempo. Stargate saying the bright side is Atlanta's last 4 games are going to be tough. That's the thing. We have a really easy schedule going out compared to the other teams. We should be able to do this. Those Miami games are really crucial. Yeah. Brooklyn, we can't fumble that the last game of the season. Yeah, we got to win tomorrow night. Yeah. Yeah, these are important games, those 4 games. And then, New York and Boston, they're just going to be what they're going to be. You have nothing to lose. Go ahead and just try and beat them if you can. That's it right there. Randolph saying, Lex, isn't it true that the use of arenas for concerts in hockey plays a role in the scheduling of games? Sure. Sure. The NHL has a big factor in the NBA schedule. Sure does. We have not got a good record on Wednesdays. This season, Wednesdays, our record on the day of Wednesday of the week has been bad. There's other days of the week we've done very, very well, but Wednesday's not been a good day of the week for the Raptors over this course of the season. So, yeah, these Wednesday losses are weird. Often, the arenas will be like, Saturday night is for the Leafs at the Scotiabank Arena, but Friday night is more for the Raptors. There's certain nights of the week where there will be a lot of that. But yeah, some of this is because of concerts. Some of this is because of the NHL. Because there are dumb times where we'll have 2 days off, and then all of a sudden we have to hurry up and do a back-to-back. And it's probably because of something like Taylor Swift or some bullshit like that. Yeah, that's true. Mr. Roger Raymond's in the house, a longtime supporter of the Raptor Freaks. And man, I appreciate you, Roger. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you, Lex. Great take on the youth of the Raptors and the greatness of the man who represented us with all he had, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, this in some ways is like, I need to allow a historical context to the events of last night that may go over the head of some of the newer fans. And that there's a history. There's a history that is very valid and important, and he is beloved. I'm telling you right now, like I said, I'm sure there were other people in the arena at Scotiabank Arena last night that were in awe of DeMar, and they remembered who he was and what he did for us in the past. I mean, he has a lot of people that love him in Toronto, and rightfully so. Listen, he didn't do anything wrong to us. In some ways, we did wrong to him. And that's why a revenge game and getting a win over us like they did last night, it's a small penance to pay, considering the mental anguish and the things that happened 8 years ago when we traded him. So it's like, it's tough, man. You can't, if you don't understand the history, you can't understand the whole depth of this game last night. You can't understand what it is. Stargate saying, that being said, I believe that the Kings loss will motivate these guys, and you're going to see a different team next 6 games. I believe we will see more of the Magic Raptors than the ones we saw last night. I love this. And I think this Stargate's right. You know, we had a direct reaction to the loss in New Orleans when we came at the Phoenix Suns and then the Pistons and beat both those teams like that. That we should have this energy, and hopefully it sustains for the last 6 games all the way through. Because I agree with this. I don't think any of them, if RJ is the tip of the spear coming into the press conference last night and showing just how pissed off he was, none of these guys are happy right now. And that should manifest into a very important energy tomorrow in Memphis. That's what we want to see. Yeah. Did the Raptors hold a tiebreaker on the Hawks and the Sixers? We have it on the Hawks. We swept the Hawks. If we're tied with the Hawks, we're above them, but not the Sixers. This is the cruel twist. We're 2-2 with the Sixers, but they have a better Atlantic Division record. So they own the tiebreaker over us. But we do have it over the Hawks. We do over the Hawks. Yeah. Randolph saying, congratulations to Fiercey Jr. Well to my province. My hope and prayer is for her success in her journey all the way to the top of the WNBA. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So awesome. So awesome. Trevor's saying Mark Cuban says he regretted who he sold the team to. Yeah. Yeah, this is funny. This is a prediction and thing that I said like a year ago before he actually publicly said it. I was saying this last year. I'm sure Mark Cuban regrets selling his team to the Adelsons. Oh, for sure. He's got to regret that. He's not that he regrets selling the team. He regrets who he sold it to, is what he says. He wanted to sell it. He was going to sell it, but he's saying he should have been more finicky, a little bit more choosy about who he sold it to. He sold it to the wrong people, idiots who didn't know basketball, who know genocide and casinos, but they don't know basketball. It's obvious because they traded Luka Doncic and they've destroyed that franchise and a lot of things about it that Mark Cuban built up in the time while he was the owner of it. So yeah. Yep. We said this like a year ago. I bet you Mark Cuban regrets selling it to that group. I'll bet you he does. And well, it's come around and the truth is out now. Randolph saying, Lex, Masai already fleecing teams in the WNBA with that 26 pick, and the team isn't together yet. Yeah. Wow. Don't give credit to Masai. Let's not do this. Let's give credit to Monica Wright Rogers, the GM of the Toronto Tempo. This is going to be very important. Masai's an owner. Masai's a principal owner. He's in a different level of things. He may have some say and expertise and advice, but he's not the one doing the job. Monica is. So I don't want to discount her job and what she's doing. We got to give everybody the right credit in the right departments. Sandy Brondello is the coach. Teresa Resch is Masai Ujiri for this team. And Monica Wright Rogers is Bobby Webster. So we got to give the right credit to the right people. Masai just showed up, and he's doing a little bit of a publicity tour to hype up the Toronto Tempo to get ready for the season, and he's fantastic to do it. But let's not get it twisted. Wright Rogers is the GM. She made that trade. That's right. Trevor's saying because the Sky with 10 games, win 10 games last year. They won 10 games last year, so they're protecting all their players because obviously they're so good. Now, the thing about the Sky and their players is Kia Nurse, because she was on the Sky last year. Is she protected in this WNBA draft? No. This expansion draft, she's not, because she's a free agent. And the Raptors can just straight up, the Tempo can just straight up add her as an unrestricted free agent outside of anything. So it's not like Kia Nurse is being protected from us and snatched. I don't think that's true. I think that's true, but I may be wrong. You guys could fact check me. But I think Kia Nurse is an unrestricted free agent. So it doesn't matter that we've just agreed to not take any of their protected players. There's maybe some young player that they don't want to get taken but they don't have enough spots to protect. And that's why they're doing this with the fire and the tempo as far as making them agree to this. So, yeah. Yeah. Randolph saying, happy birthday to all April born. Love, joy, peace, and happiness, health, and healing to all. All right, that's my cue right here. We'll start off with the birthdays. And the first birthday today we're going to go over is Nate Huffman. Nate Huffman is turning 51 today. He's out of Battle Creek, Michigan, and he played for the Raptors in 2002, 2003. He was a center. He played 7 games for us, and he averaged 3.3 points per game. So happy birthday to former Raptors center for 7 games, Nate Huffman. Well, it's going to get better and better. Next birthday, we got to do the straight goods on Canadian Goods because it is the Fan 590 broadcaster from the beginning of the Raptors' existence, Eric Smith. We the Raptors is his book. It came out with him and Andrew Bricker. This is my straight goods on Canadian Goods for today. Buy this book by Eric Smith. It's his birthday today. And yeah, this is a fantastic book. I've been reading it. I'm mostly through it. I slowly read books, but yeah, this book is awesome. It's got chapters on different Raptors. It's got 30 Raptors from 30 years of the Raptors, and you get the story of Doug Christie, who played last night, or who was the coach last night of the Kings. You'll hear his story about being on the Raptors. People like Jerome Williams, Matt Bonner, Anthony Parker, Tyler Hansbrough, Jonas Valanciunas, CJ Miles, Garrett Temple. There's a chapter in here for all kinds of Raptors from all throughout the history of the Toronto Raptors franchise. So go out and buy Eric Smith's book. It's his birthday. Do it for him on his birthday. And get your historical book about the Raptors and learn more about the insight about players. Like Antonio Davis goes into detail in his chapter about the whole misunderstanding about the metric system and his children going to school in Canada. You know, it's a very, very good book. Eric Smith is a fantastic journalist for the Raptors, broadcaster for many years, and he's an awesome dude. He's been communicative to me on social media and been very supportive and nice. So support Eric Smith, and on his birthday especially, and buy his book, We the Raptors. Well, there's one more birthday today. When we talk about a GOAT named DeMar DeRozan, we better talk about Cool Cats number 1, Pascal. It is Siakam's birthday today, guys. And we want to wish Siakam such a happy 32nd birthday. Our man from Cameroon, of course, is a 2-time Raptors champion, as a G League champion and NBA champion. And we love Siakam so, so much. The accolades just keep pouring in. 4-time All-Star, All-NBA second team 2020, All-NBA third team 2022, Most Improved Player 2019, D-League, G League champion, G League Finals MVP, honorable mention All-American, WAC Player of the Year in 2016. Siakam is one of the greatest Raptors ever because he is decorated like one of the greatest Raptors ever. And he is going to get his 43 up in the rafters too. They can talk about Lowry and DeRozan 7 and 10 going up there with 15 in the next couple years or so. That is for sure. But understand that our guy Siakam is going to be up there too eventually with 43. So happy birthday to Pascal. And Pascal won his game last night. So we got to show some love to old Siakam for winning his game last night. I believe that they played, who did they play? They played the Bulls and won last night. I forgot to mention this yesterday, but the Raptors on the power rankings for ESPN have risen to 12. They're 12th in the ESPN power rankings currently. And this is what Zach Cram's saying about us this week. Thanks in part to a 52-point win over Orlando on Sunday, the Raptors remain favored to finish in the top 6 in the East and avoid the play-in tournament. As long as the Raptors take care of business against the 3 tanking teams left on their schedule, the one last night, Memphis and Brooklyn, and don't get swept by the non-tanking teams, Boston, Miami, twice, and New York, they should automatically qualify for their first postseason appearance since the 2021-2022 campaign. So we were 13th on the power rankings last week. We moved up a spot after the Orlando route. So yeah, you can't get mad at this. In some ways, they probably would change that ranking after the game last night if they could. They probably would. Yeah, Trevor's saying that Kia Nurse is a free agent this year. Yeah, she hopefully will be signing with us. You know, the list of New York Liberty that are unrestricted free agents, very interesting also. Brittany Griner is on that list too. Brittany played with Sandy in Phoenix and won a championship with her. So Brittany Griner in a Toronto Tempo jersey, even though she's near the end of her career and she's been around a long time, well, that's not a bad player to have on your team in the WNBA. Brittany Griner, hello, hello, hello. All right, let me just check on my tabs and make sure I didn't miss anything. We're going to check on breaking news one more thing. Okay, here we go. Blake Murphy has just announced that Elijah Martin has finished third in the voting for G League Defensive Player of the Year. So he got third place in G League Defensive Player of the Year. Wow, that's some pretty interesting little thing right there. Little tidbit of knowledge right there. That's pretty cool. I like that. Let me see what else is in my tabs that I may have forgotten. No, we did those birthdays. Check on your fantasy teams. We got the Final Four going on, and I'm losing to the one defeated right now. And it's a close matchup between Amit and Kaz. Right now, Amit is beating Kaz currently. But yeah, that's a close matchup. All right, let's see if we can get a third Jerome Kersey in a row today. Let's see. We get a third Jerome Kersey in a row. No, we're not going to get Jerome today. Nope. All right. Let me get this classic card up for you guys. And first person to write the full name answer to the classic card will get the points. And we're going to get done in 2.5 hours. There you go. This one's easy. This one's an easy card. This guy's pretty memorable. If you know who this guy is, the part of the Lakers from the 80s, then you can get this card easy. Full name answer, please. And you can get the classic card points of the day. We do this every day. An accumulation of points over the whole season will get a trivia champion. And currently, right now, our leader is Fiercey Salsera. And Slug Deezy is in second. But yeah, who knows this player for the classic card of the day? Make sure that you are live so that you can answer it and see. Yeah, Slug Deezy knows. Of course, this is air conditioning green. It's AC Green. That's right. Smooth, you're just behind the king of the classic card. AC Green, of course, was maybe the most famous virgin in the history of the world. This is like a weird case with AC as far as like he was very chaste and not partaking in the Showtime Magic era of debauchery. And he was like the one guy. He was like a virgin into his 30s. And he played in the NBA. That in some ways is the kind of fortitude and tenacity spiritually that is very impressive, honestly, considering the lifestyle he could have been living, but he chose not to because of his faith in God. So yeah, he's a very interesting player, AC Green. Very underrated player in some ways for his contributions to Lakers success. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and give you 50 points. This is an easy player to figure out. Honestly, he's a pretty well-known player, and everybody knows AC Green, right? So, all right, Slug Deezy, you get 50 points for the King of Classic card. You have got a 4-day win streak right now, where you've gotten the classic card 4 days in a row. So that's pretty impressive right there. All right, y'all, let's wrap it up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for a preview of the Memphis Grizzly game in Memphis tomorrow night. Hopefully the Raptors can't fumble this one. They cannot lose this one. You guys are right. They cannot lose this one. They shouldn't have lost last night, but they did. So we pick up the pieces, we move on, and we go towards the next game. We learn the lessons, and hopefully they take, and it's worthwhile to lose to the Kings like we did last night. Hopefully they take the lessons. My stars of the game for the game last night, Jamal Shed, Colin Murray-Boyles, and Sandro Mamukelashvili are my top 3 stars for the Raptors in the loss. And, of course, I want to give stars to DeMar DeRozan and Precious Achiuwa and Doug Christie for doing a great job last night. Former Raptors coming back and beating the Raptors in Scotiabank Arena last night. Man, you can't get mad at DeMar. I'm sorry, you just can't. If you're a real one for the Raptors, you got to, in some ways, love DeMar even when he kicks our ass. And I think that that's how some of us felt on the Discord last night afterwards, and even today in the stream, is that you got to get it, man. This guy is the career most points in Raptors franchise history. He played the most games in a Raptors jersey out of anybody. And in some ways, he is still very much a Raptor deep down inside. It's just that, we did him wrong. And in some ways, the karma of that coming back to hit us in the face every once in a while is going to happen sometimes. Most of the games we play against him, we beat him. He doesn't come back and beat us often. But when he does get the chance and he sees that opening, you damn for sure know that he's not going to flub it. He's going to go take it and execute it. And that's a lesson for our young Raptors to learn. about basketball and execution and what it takes to win. And well, DeMar had a lesson for the young Raptors last night, and he did it. And kudos to Precious, man. Seriously. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow on the preview for the Memphis Grizzlies. And on Saturday, we're going to be talking a lot of Toronto tempo and reacting to the Grizzlies on Saturday morning. Let's go tempo. Let's go Raptors. And let's win against the Grizzlies. We cannot afford to lose this one tomorrow. You lose this one, whoa, it's going to get bad.